Oh, hey, we're live. Woo!
Oh, so we are.
No, we are. We're on my channel today. What's up, everybody? I am your host, Movie Cynic, with our time, the Little Platoon, and most of the audience will probably know Mr. Brown from Mr. Brown Alliance, making his first appearance besides like 12, 13 million invites. He's finally gracing us with his presence. Copa Catania, welcome. This is your first appearance on the show, I think.
It is. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, for sure. I've streamed with him a couple times. Fantastic host. I don't know if you weren't a host on any of the shows I was on, but you're a wonderful guest either way.
Oh, thank you. Let's save the praise for after the show. Or, let's see if we can make it through this one.
Yeah. Don't you have you have a background in film in some capacity, right?
I do. I was a commercial director for a while. I edit film and did some script doctoring there at the beginning as well.
Ooh, script doctoring. What does that entail?
It's just basically what I was doing was more dialogue stuff. So if they wanted like the dialogue punched up, they would usually come to me and ask me like, what would the character be doing when he's talking? And I'd give them ideas and stuff like that. And they cut me a little paycheck. And
are you able to say like what stuff you've worked on is?
I'm not sure. I did sign NDAs and I'm not too sure. It's
All
been a while.
Fair
It's been quite some time. And I highly doubt the studio is around anymore. It was a very small studio there in Hollywood. So.
Very cool though. And Jay, he was on last week. Platoon and I have streamed with him a couple times too. He is the artist for the upcoming graphic novel Atlas of Sidonia. And I will make sure to put the links and everything in the re-up description. We just didn't know who was 100% going to be on as guest today, so I didn't fill out the description in total. So that's how professional we are, as Platoon would say. But
all good.
Yeah, thanks for joining us again. But lovely to have our guests, and for everyone else too, Vex Electronica will be joining us in like an hour-ish. She is probably the busiest one out of all of us because she's always on like 5 streams a day, it feels like. But
yeah,
she has some shit she wants to say about the Flash, so she wanted to be here. But yeah, if you guys want, the topic of the week obviously is the Flash. We talked about it on Mr. Brown for like an hour and a half yesterday. I dropped a review yesterday.
I'm wondering whether we should maybe kick off with something else. If Vex is arriving later, and we can save the Flash for when she turns up, just because we don't end up repeating ourselves.
Yeah. Well, what was the second on the docket then? The Disney delays.
Well, I guess, to warm up, we have the news. Obviously, there is the writer strike that's going on, and it's starting to affect various different studios in various different ways. And there's all the talk that it might be expanding to include various other people who are not really earning their money as it is. So why we should pay them more, I don't know. But the upshot of that is that the MCU has had several delays to some Phase 5 projects and some Phase 6 projects as well. I was just finding the list. So I believe that the current affected slate is Deadpool 3, Captain America, which has just had the name change because reasons.
For obvious reasons. God.
Yeah.
Fantastic Four, Avengers: The Kang Dynasty, which you think might actually be affected by certain other controversies as well, and Avengers: Secret Wars. And they are, I think, the current slate of Marvel films that have been most impacted by this strike so far.
You know what's interesting about this is because these movies have been delayed, the Deadpool 3 release date has actually been moved forward.
Has it?
It has not been pushed back. Yeah. It's been moved from November of next year to May of next year.
Oh, yeah, no, you're right. It's actually moved to the date that Captain America conspiracy theory title here was originally holding. That was May 3rd. So that's gone back to July. So Deadpool has gone to May. Yeah, okay. Everything except Deadpool 3 then is delayed. Is anybody particularly sorry to see this happen? Are we expecting them to use the time to improve things?
I highly doubt they're going to use the time to improve things because everybody's already slated for their jobs, barring that they're using the writer's strike to like get rid of some writers. But I highly doubt that's going to be the case. I'm not really looking forward to Deadpool, to be honest with you. Deadpool 3. to bring back Wolverine just to do this Deadpool is a definite marketing ploy. It seems like they're kind of running out of ideas here. They could have went so many different routes, but they went this one to pull Hugh Jackman back into the role, especially after Logan. Logan just ended his run there. I don't think he's going to top it. And just to do it, and I'm guessing it's going to be in a satirical, maybe in a parody sense, is going to kind of diminish what Logan did.
Totally agree on that one. I mean, like I think I mentioned this last week. Like they're at the point now with all these movies, they're just bringing in these big name actors and just plopping them in these movies, hoping people are just going to go to the movie for the name, and the stories and the way they're going about it is just awful. It's not entertaining. Like Star Wars is like they were canceling and delaying everything that they have right now.
Oh yeah, I think the running joke is like there are 3 Star Wars trilogies that will be made someday by multiple multiple directors.
But you see the Kraven trailer, and we shouldn't get into it because Vex is not here, and this is kind of, I think she wants to jump on that one.
Oh yeah, that released when I was even putting up. That just came out a couple of hours ago.
Yeah. Yeah, and it actually looks really good. But I mean, again, let's save it for Vex.
Yeah.
But it's interesting times. I mean, like this is an opportunity for like some people to actually cross the line and put their storylines in there and see if it works. And I think if the studios were smart, they would jump all over it. But that's just me speaking. So.
Yeah, I think the move of Deadpool 3, moving that up, is to have some sort of like they don't want people to forget about the MCU, and with all of the delays, like that's a giant movie that we know is being filmed right now, and so it's like it's almost like an emergency move. It feels like.
Well, what are they going to do? Are they going to do another flashback? Like, because like they've already done that with Deadpool, where he's gone back and killed the other Deadpool. And like, how are they going to go about this movie? That's
yeah. My wonder is why is it delayed because of the writer's strike? Is there a reason they've given for that?
No, because the only thing I can think of is that they were either like in the middle of writing these movies, or like a lot of these movies feel like they are rewritten during filming and obviously after too, because they build in like reshoots into their budgets nowadays.
See, and this is the problem I have is that the movie should have already been written while they were announcing it and actually in production or getting ready to go into production when they did that whole like, hey Hugh, you want to do Logan again? And he's like, sure mate. That was my best Australian impression for
sure,
right now. Sure mate. But that's the thing is, from what I understand with Marvel, is that they'll have beats that they want the production to hit, and that's all they have written. They go out and shoot those beats, and then they fill in the blanks later, and you can tell, especially with this later phases that we've been going through a little bit over 4 and a lot of 5, or no, a lot of 4 and now with 5 as well. So this just proves it as well. Like this movie shouldn't technically be delayed if the script was already written.
Right. And it feels like behind the scenes, they haven't publicly said anything, but just based on their moves before the writer's strike even happened, is that like they do understand that the box office numbers are speaking for themselves, and as much as they want to blame fans for, with ism words, as much as they want to do that, I think they do understand that less people are interested in these movies. So I feel like the scripts are malleable, and they're willing to change it, even though certain things are probably set in stone, but they want to change it to try and make it as appeasing as possible. And I feel like before the writer's strike, they were already shifting things around. Like they Panic announced phase 5 and 6, and Panic announced like, okay, phase 4 ends with Wakanda Forever, which was not the game plan at all originally. And then the reception of Ant-Man 3. What did they do right after Ant-Man 3? There was like some major shakeup. I can't remember what it was, but it was like the weekend Ant-Man 3's box office numbers came in they shifted something immediately. And this was all before the writer's strike. So I feel like, it speaks for itself that it's probably clearly these scripts weren't written whatsoever or even remotely finished. So
it used to be back in the day, you'd greenlight a script and then go out and start hustling the promotion of it while it's being shot. But now they obviously greenlit something that doesn't even have a foundation. It's backwards.
I mean, they do that with all those the phase announcements that used to work in their favor. Like when they announced phase 3 back in what was it, 2014 or something?
Yeah.
And all that shifted. Like, look how quickly that shifted when Spider-Man Homecoming, when they got the rights to be able to do a Spider-Man movie with Sony. Like, they shifted everything in phase 3. It feels like their game plan isn't even necessarily different than it ever was before. They were playing with house money before because they were just winning, just like Charlie Sheen, just fucking winning.
With maybe a little less drugs than Charlie Sheen, but yeah, for sure. It's incredible to me. But with phase 3, they already had IPs working in their favor, except for Guardians of the Galaxy. That was the gamble back in the day. But even that was, I don't know, like Marvel was riding on a high, and now they think they're still on that high when they're crashing and burning.
Didn't Hugh Jackman say he wasn't coming back unless there was an actual script that would entice him to do Wolverine again? So
right, but there was no way.
What's changed
before he?
Yeah, so what's changed? Money. It had to be money.
Had to have been. He probably got Robert Downey Jr. money for that.
Is that what's going on?
A reason for people to take on these projects. Yeah, all of a sudden they need.
It's either a divorce
cash.
or a hush money.
No, it's not a divorce. He's married to someone that's like 30 years older than him. She'd be a fool.
Oh my God, she's a 10, dude. Come on.
In 1940.
At the old person's home, sure.
Yeah.
Oh, she's smoking hot.
She gets all the Jello at the old folks' home.
It is the difference, though, isn't it, between the state of things now and the state of things as they were. Even if they didn't really change the way they kind of create the scripts and they write them as they go, it didn't give the impression throughout phases 1 to 3 that they were just winging it and hoping something sticks. Whereas that's very much the impression I think everyone's had since phase 4 kicked off. And the beginning of phase 5 hasn't really improved anything on that score.
I feel like Feige said that when they were doing the Infinity War scripts and planning that out, that it really is relatively up in the air of what to do. Like, they have a very, very vague outline of what to do. And I think it was just working in their favor. I really do. And then phase 4 hits and it's an abomination. It's weird to think just a couple of years ago, last night, I couldn't sleep and I was just watching old reviews of Eternals. And in one of the reviews, they were talking about how people were saying this is the first bad Marvel movie, which obviously isn't true anyway, because phase 1 and 2 had stinkers. Phase 3 did also. But it's weird how quickly the mindset shifted, because that was not even 2 years ago that people were saying that. It was like a year and a half ago.
Yeah. You also have to remember that phase 1 was under the Paramount umbrella. It wasn't under the Disney umbrella.
Yeah, phase 1 wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, the only one that had the Disney logo on it, I think, was the Avengers.
The Avengers 2, and that one's a weird one because if I remember correctly, Paramount released it in theaters, but when it came to the home edition, Blu-rays and DVDs and whatnot, that was under that deal went through, and then it was under the Disney umbrella. So Avengers 2 is where it's at, where the switch is being made. But it seems like they carried over just fine for the first for the first 3 phases. It was a smooth transition. You didn't even notice it shifted hands studio wise.
But then you hire writers that don't even read the comics, have nothing, know nothing of the character. Like, look at She-Hulk. They hired all these female writers and had no idea.
Look at She-Hulk.
Yeah, I know. But I mean, that's what we're dealing with. People that are just putting their agenda and their beliefs into these characters, they're not serving the characters. That's what you're there. You're there to serve the character, because there's already a script for them. You got all these comics that have been written for years and years. It should be an easy process. Yes, you might have to change up the dialogue here and there, but they don't. These activists come in and they want to, implement their agenda, the way they do things. Like, I remember hearing about these female writers, and there's like 15 of them. They all go, "Hey, we never read the books. We don't care. We're gonna do it. We're gonna do it like this." And then look how big of a disaster that was.
Yeah, there was that one fascinating thing, because you could sort of, everyone I think in their head throughout episodes like 1, 2, 3, 4 of She-Hulk could have this vague impression of what they imagined that writer's room looked like, just because you can glean some sense of the composition of the writer's room from the show itself. Then the show actually puts the writer's room on TV, and you think, yep, I was exactly right. Everything I thought you would look like, everything I thought you would be, that's all you. I'm not at all surprised to see where this is going. But you're right, and I think that probably lends itself as well to this sense that there isn't any overarching meta story anymore, because these people are not A, fond of the comics, or B, particularly interested in the characters that they're writing for. They have a bit more leeway in their own imaginations to go and make these wholesale changes very late in the day, because there's no real understanding of the story they're trying to tell. And that allows them to say, Spider-Man No Way Home comes out and they say, well, everyone really liked that. Multiverse of Madness is coming out in a couple of months, but let's just bung in a load more stuff. Because, No Way Home had stuff. People like stuff. So we'll just add loads more stuff and people will like this film as well. And then you watch the film and you think, well, okay, you have got lots of stuff. This is true. What you don't have anything of is like an intelligible script or like any obvious understanding of your protagonist or the villain. To the extent that there is a villain in that, of course, we're supposed to praise her because we don't really understand what she sacrificed for us and all the rest of that. But yeah, it's a hot mess, as some people might say.
Mm-hmm. You would think, though, with these writing rooms, that the talent would take over and they would understand how to write a story anyways, despite not knowing.
That's the problem.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing, is that these writers are hacks. It's all about who you know in show business, and unfortunately, it's totally nepotism. And it shows in these shows. These people can't even write a good show by themselves, let alone be in a writer's room with a bunch of catty women trying to write a superhero show.
Stream killer.
Stream's over. Bye, everybody.
It's maddening. There's like so many of these are angles that we could launch into with the Flash, but I
know.
I still think we should wait.
I know. I just had to hold it back.
Obviously, it's it's not just Marvel that's been affected by the writer's strike. Obviously, there's a whole slate of things beyond Disney, even, which have been announced to have been delayed. Tragically, Transformers 1, we're not going to be getting that until late next year. I didn't even know it was coming out, to be honest. So it's completely ironic. There's a Transformers film that's been delayed till apparently.
There's another one?
Yeah, Transformers 1 apparently is a thing that's in production, which is now scheduled to come out in September next year.
What is Transformers 1? We've already had Transformers 1. We're at 7.
It's Transformers 8. Transformers 1.
Transformers 8. The first one.
Cynic, you better like that popcorn, because the movie's not going to be good.
Oh my god!
So according to IMDb, it's an origin story set on Cybertron, home of both the Autobots and the Decepticons. The film is said to focus on the relationship between Optimus Prime and Megatron.
Maybe it won't suck.
Why don't
it's going to suck.
Just call it Transformers.
It will.
Call it Transformers 0. What's wrong with you people?
Have you seen what they've done to the cartoons? The cartoons, they're talking about what sex they are. And it's just like, it's like they're weird. A robot. How can you say you're asexual or you're pansexual when you're a robot? Like,
I saw that clip. That was amazing.
They're literally transforming.
Oh my!
Right before your eyes.
I forgot all about that. And there's a movie coming out. Yeah, man. I didn't think of all things this year that the Rise of the Beasts movie would be the bane of my existence, but it sure is. God.
Was it that bad?
No, it's more of just I've never trolled my own comments before until this video. I've never come across so many people that are passionate that it was a 6 out of 10, and I'm also a piece of shit for not recognizing that it's a 6 out of 10.
I have to be honest with you. Yeah, you gave it fair criticism in your review.
Yeah, I
and-
even said what it did well and how
Yeah.
I would have improved it and what I was looking forward to and what they failed on. But that's awful of me. It was actually a perfect 6 out of 10.
Well, I mean, you were being objective, and it's subjective. It's all subjective, dude. Yeah.
There were probably deeper themes that just went over my head in Rise of the Beasts.
Right,
I think
exactly.
you're right.
Yeah.
Do you think he's watching? Like Ezra Miller, like just kind of
No, because he would be spamming the chat.
We already know the answer. You think this thing in the Transformers film makes no sense, but that's only because in the next film, the Martian Manhunter will actually be
The Martian Man will show up and explain it all.
For people
man.
wondering what we're talking about, it's just deep now at this point. It's deep Little Platoon movie cynic lore, I would say.
Yes.
Any plot hole can be explained by the Martian Manhunter. In the
I don't
next
think
film.
You said the cynic, and I don't think I've ever seen Platoon tell anybody to fuck off.
I hadn't either.
I was sitting right there at the panel, and I went, "Oh, shit just got real."
Oh my god!
But I
Yeah,
mean,
that was fun.
yeah, that was fun. It was a good time.
It was really good fun. It was great 4 hours. Other things, so besides Transformers, which I don't think anyone is looking forward to, given that no one even knew it was in production, I think the fact it's been delayed is going to come as a huge disappointment. There's a few more Marvel things, obviously Blade, although that was already in development hell because of everything else. Fantastic Four, apparently that's delayed to May 25. Avatar 3, tragically, we're not going to get until the end of 2025 now.
Isn't it already done? I thought they said they filmed like 80% of it already by the time Avatar 2 was finished.
Yeah, because weren't they filming it alongside Avatar
Yeah.
2? I thought they were filming, maybe, apparently not, I guess, unless it's... Yeah, no, I have no idea why. I don't know why that would be delayed. Maybe there were a substantial part of it not yet written, or maybe they've moved it because other release dates were being moved as well, and so to just shift it around and accommodate.
Maybe it's to distance itself farther from the second movie, so people forget that they're about to see the same movie they saw twice already.
Yeah,
but
this
will
is
it
Avatar
actually
2.
work though? Given
Or
Avatar
3?
4 comes out in 2029, then an Avatar 5 comes out in 2031. I don't want another decade of fucking Smurfs, but that's what we're getting.
well, good thing Sam Worthington's full Avatar body now, because he's going to be like 70 years old by the time it's finished.
You'll be as old as Hugh Jackman's wife.
Yeah.
God. I'm going to be sitting beside her by that time.
But the thing with Avatar, I just like, if we're talking Avatar right now, I just need to say
Talk
my
whatever
piece.
you want.
Okay, yeah, like Avatar, dude. Like, I just don't understand the level of forgetfulness everybody had with Avatar 1, because everybody saw it, was blown away by it, and then 6 months later, they're like, Avatar 1, that was boring, whatever. It was just Pocahontas and Ferngully wrapped together. Then Avatar 2 comes out, and I'm like, it's not going to do as well. And everybody freaking lost their mind and went and saw it and thought it was the greatest thing. I was like, it was the same movie.
Mhm.
Same
Yeah.
damn movie.
Mm-hmm.
It was incredible. So James Cameron, I don't know what Dark Lord he prays to, but he prays to the right one. Honestly.
It is a mystery kind of like why that movie did so well.
The first one made more sense because it was 3D, so you had to pay the extra ticket price to do the 3D screening, and everybody said, "Oh, you got to watch it in 3D." This time around, I'm not sure.
Strong family values, not
Yeah,
ragging
I
the dad.
guess.
Yeah.
Perhaps.
But
Yeah,
it was a-
not
it
a
was
bad
a-
dad, good dad.
Yeah, I mean, that has the positives for it, no doubt. It's always refreshing to see a positive fatherly influence in films, not one that has either ran out on the family or is just a complete tool. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
there's the Mario factor as well of it being quite safe entertainment for children. Like, there's nothing. It does preach quite a lot, actually, Avatar, on the environmentalist stuff and saving the
Yeah,
whales,
that
but
it
it doesn't
does.
preach in ways that are going to really piss people off. It's not one of those ones that you think, am I going to have to vet this before I take my kids to see it? Also, it's not a superhero film, and I do think that certainly at the moment you will find a lot of people are willing to watch literally anything else as long as there aren't any capes in it. It's variety, and it's one of the only like offerings of variety that are around. It's still a absolute garbage film, but you can at least understand, I think, that people are used to other kinds of garbage and they like a little bit of variety in the garbage they consume. Would be my theory.
Because it's a James Cameron film, has that got anything to do with it? People are
don't know. I mean,
James Cameron,
yeah.
isn't it?
I mean, I think it has some weight because
you know what you're gonna get. You know what you're gonna get,
but not like $2 billion kind of weight.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I just don't see that. I see a lot. You know, he developed a like. He had a nice cult following there all the way up until Titanic, and then Titanic blew up, and he became a completely different director. Obviously.
No, Titanic sank.
Oh, that's right. You're right.
Oh, and some
I'm
like
here all week, by the way.
some vacation sub went missing today, did it not?
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, the Titanic tour submarine has ironically gone missing and sunk next to the Titanic, which is of course tragic for all the people who are stuck aboard it. But it is also kind of ironic.
Yep.
No, but with Avatar, it's a strange case because just like the first movie, the only time I ever really hear about that movie is when I'm talking about it and criticizing it, or talking to other people criticizing it. I don't hear praise about it. I don't hear anything positive about it. It was not a water cooler type of movie. Not that most everyone works at home now anyway.
Yeah, everybody works at home now, so that's not an issue.
Yeah, but no, it wasn't like it's a cultural phenomenon that no one talks about whatsoever. Like everyone was talking about Spider-Man No Way Home, and that made less than Avatar 2.
Yeah.
I don't hear anyone talk about Avatar except us when we're mocking it or talking shit about it.
It's consume product next, but it's unoffensive product next.
Yeah. Yeah, the inoffensive thing I think is quite important with that as well. Again, it goes back to that point about not having to vet it before you let your children watch it or anything like that. It is brain dead entertainment. But you know, people are kind of sick of having their brains smashed in with messaging. And so a bit of brain dead entertainment maybe looks good by comparison. And yeah, I think you're right. I mean, James Cameron probably has a bit of pull to him. There was that story I think he himself told about the production trouble he had, or convincing the studio to even back Avatar to begin with. And apparently he marched into the studio and said, "I made Titanic."
That sounds like James Cameron.
Yeah, that sounds exactly like him. I could absolutely believe that.
Well, have you heard the story about how he got Aliens greenlit? So this is basically what he did. He went into the Fox production office. On the whiteboard, he wrote Aliens, and they went, okay. And then he just put a $sign for the S. And then they went, oh, we get it now. Like, we'll make lots of money. That's for real what happened, and it got greenlit that way. He just marched in and did that. And that was off of, what did he do before that? Just Terminator, right? Yeah.
Yes, Terminator. Yeah, because then there's a few things that came out after it which weren't as successful. I mean, The Abyss, for example, it's not a bad film actually, but it's not the huge sort of box office draw. But yeah, his reputation is absolutely hinges on the huge draws: Titanic, Aliens, and now Avatar, inexplicably. But it's a believable story. I think he probably is slightly egotistical, but then he has a proven ability to make a huge amount of cash for studios. So.
Right.
Yeah, but it just still doesn't answer the question as to why people just flock to go and see his stuff. But no, and Cynic's right. We don't really talk about this. If we're talking about literally anything else, you will find common comparisons come up. If you're saying, well, this film is shit, it's sort of doing something like, I don't know what Star Wars tried to do, but Star Wars is really good for this reason. Star Wars is a common cultural reference point, and people always make reference to it completely off the bat. Avatar never comes up unless, in this case, we're looking for a list of delayed film products, and we remember, oh shit, yeah, Avatar has sequels coming. Those are fun.
I forgot about those.
It is not only films, so there's a few TV series which have apparently been put on the back burner as well. That's Daredevil, Born Again, and The Penguin, which I think was only announced a few weeks ago, but apparently both of those have been completely put on hold until after the end of the strike. As our resident Batman Spaffer, Cynic, are you very sad about?
Yeah,
the
I'm a
delay
little
for the
bummed out
Penguin?
about that because when I saw the logo, I quoted Optimus Prime and said, "I'm coming," and then I heard about the delay, and
I'm
it's just
coming.
yeah, I was a little bummed. I think the Penguin, regardless of what you thought about the Batman, I think everyone kind of universally liked Colin Farrell as the Penguin. It was really really cool. It was one of those things where you genuinely don't see the actor. Because of the makeup effects and his accent and everything was just fantastic. So yes, as a fan of the Batman, and that opinion is reinforced after seeing the Flash, that's like one of the few bright spots for the DC universe, regardless if it's DCEU or whatever else worlds. That's a bright spot for it. So I was a little bummed that the Penguin is delayed. I would have hoped that the script was done and they could keep filming, but apparently not. So oh well.
I went back. Oh,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I went back and watched it on the weekend, the Batman.
Yeah, you like it, right?
I think it's even better now that I watched it a second time, and I agree with you, because everything that they've done after and before, barring a few other movies, has been garbage.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually a really good movie. They do it justice, and yeah, I have to agree with you. It's the Penguin is. I didn't know how it's going to play out, but actually, he does a really, really solid job as the Penguin there, and you get to know the background of the Joker before he becomes like not the Joker. Sorry, Penguin. I was Joker. Colin Farrell doing the Penguin, and you get to see the backstory and how he actually evolves into the Penguin. It was actually really cool.
Can anybody explain to me the necessity to put Colin Farrell in 12 hours worth of makeup for him to be the Penguin?
The necessity?
That is a good question.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know why it has to take so long, but it paid off. It looks really
but
cool.
I mean, why
amazing.
why not get an actor that some Danny DeVito looking dude, or you know what?
Well, he already did the Penguin.
I know, right? Some Danny DeVito looking midget, get him in there.
Well, wouldn't it be that they just genuinely thought that he was best for the role, and that technology with makeup effects has caught up to be able to do that?
I don't know. Like it just, to me, like production wise, I'd be like, no, let's get somebody who can closely resemble the Penguin, and then we can do a little bit of prosthetic.
Probably be cheaper.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you'd also think it's a logical extension of the point. All the people who are saying, well, no, only gay people should play gay parts, and only trans people should play trans parts, and only disabled people should play disabled parts, and only fat people should play fat people. So they should have found someone of more substantive.
They should have found
I'm
a Penguin
for a morbidly obese person to be cast in a skinny role. I'm just waiting for that.
The opposite of the whale.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was just going to say that.
I'm going to just a sec. I'm going to end this poll with 131 votes. I just put in Avatar 2 ? And the choices were amazing or come on, man. And 88% says, come on, man. I agree.
So I guess like maybe starting to move to the end of this segment. These have all been, we were talking about things that have been delayed. There are a few things that, of course, already in the pipeline. They're already completed. They will be coming out in the interim, and at least one of them is shaping up to be an absolute disaster in the form of Indiana Jones 5. Do we think that if the Flash is already losing a huge amount of money, if Indy 5 comes out and it completely bombs, are we going to see some sort of prompt for a shake-up behind the scenes that might impact or might make use of this extra time afforded by a delay to set the course right again, or are we just going to continue in this long and rapid decline to oblivion?
Well,
Oblivion.
I just want to say it was great watching Spielberg talk at the opening, and he mentioned the three pieces that were the glue for Indiana Jones: George Lucas, Harrison Ford, and then Kathleen Kennedy was on stage with them. And she was clapping, excited because she thought she was going to be announced. And Spielberg went to the composer, and she was furious in front of thousands of people. So that tells you that things are afoot. And
He's like, you over there, not you, and you, John. You guys are the glue.
I don't even know why you're on the stage, but these guys were the glue.
Yeah, she looks at him. She's like, "Were you my secretary?" And never mind. Anyways, you.
So I thought that was quite humorous.
That is. I'm worried that the shakeup's not going to happen because I feel like they clearly understand something's wrong. And I'm nervous that they don't even understand what it is when they have people like us sitting every week talking about what's wrong and what's going on, and they're just like playing oblivious to it.
This is in all honesty. I think Kathleen Kennedy is going to step down because this is, if you look at it, this is the last Lucasfilm IP that she can ruin. So she's got them all ruined now.
Howard the Duck.
They're going. Oh yeah,
she's not ruined that one yet.
Not yet, but I mean, we still have times for her to have those duck boobs removed. And it's just a duck mastectomy or whatever.
Alligator neck.
Yeah. but yeah, I think it's the last IP for her to ruin, and they're going to ask her to either step down or be fired, and she's going to step down. I honestly believe that. Because this is going to bomb. It's going to bomb and fail and bomb again. It cost, the production was $300 million, just slightly under $300 million.
So with marketing, the break even's going to be 800 or plus, right?
Yeah, so it has to be double for marketing, and then the tickets, the theaters got to get their cut. So yeah, it's going to have to be about 800 million, and it's tracking from the last I checked, it's tracking to make 60 million opening domestic, and that's not
so
good,
flash
guys.
numbers.
Yeah.
Yes.
So combine that with
as well. That's significantly lower than Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Kingdom of the Crystal Skull had an opening
100.
weekend, which was higher than that. Indy 5's projection, I think that's over a 5-day holiday. So that's not even an opening weekend. That's a proper, this is the prime time to release a film. If you're only making this much money from 5 days and a holiday, you're probably screwed.
Yeah, it's a massive weekend because it opens on June 30th and July 4th is on a Tuesday. So you are essentially, and it's dead middle of the summer. So typically because kids are out of school, the summer is like weekdays act like weekend days that the rest of the year is. So yeah, if that's the projection, this is a nightmare on the level of The Flash, except the Flash is adjacent to the massive IPs like Batman, Superman, whereas Indiana Jones is the massive IP that's going to absolutely flop.
Yeah.
Couple that with Pixar's performance this weekend that Disney owns. They invested $200 million in Elemental. It's so irrelevant. I didn't even put it on the title of our video today.
I didn't even know it was a thing.
Yeah. It opened at $29 million and had a $200 million budget on par with The Flash.
Oof. I think we looked at it briefly when you were on last week and we just kind of skimmed over it. That's how important it was. But I've heard rumors about Spielberg talking about Kathleen Kennedy, and they said when they were doing the room, talking about ideas for movies and everything, she always had the worst ideas and got laughed out of the room apparently.
Yeah.
So
must have been because she was a woman, obviously.
Well, yeah,
that's why.
Well, I'm pretty sure because she was George Lucas's secretary. I'm pretty sure he slapped her on the ass or said, you got to lose 5 pounds if you're going to be.
Look, honey.
Look, sugar tits. If you want to be in the same room as me. And then she's like, you know what? I'm going to marry a producer named Frank Marshall, and I'm going to wreck your entire life. And she did. She completely did. Never. That's a lesson to you guys. Just, if you get a secretary, don't call her sugar tits. Don't slap her on the ass. Don't say she's fat.
Get a man.
Get a man. Get a man and call him. Get yourself a man secretary. Call him sugar tits. And slap him on the ass.
But that is the question: how much money do they have to lose before they decide? Right, we need a huge course correction, and we need it quickly. Because there were the rumors a few weeks ago, which came from the predictable quarters. Oh, maybe Disney's looking to sell Lucasfilm. Maybe it'll be sold back to George Lucas. which is always a bit silly. I think it's wish thinking, but it's very silly because there are so many things that they haven't done yet, which they would try and do before they went all the way and actually sold the company again. And you would think pretty much at the top of that list is, yeah, we're gonna change the president of Lucasfilm because clearly everything under her watch has crumbled to dust. So first things first, get rid of KK, and then we can talk about, changing the rest of the backroom team and the writers and the people to come in. All these things that that they would go through before they got to the point of saying, yeah, we can't do anything with the most marketable brands in cinema history. We can't possibly make any money off of Star Wars anymore. Good luck with that. Yeah. So I mean, I don't know about her departing immediately after Indy 5, though. She should have gone ages ago. I just wonder whether she'll just see out the contract she's currently on. She's in her 70s. She'll retire. It'll be portrayed instead as the natural end point as opposed to her being pushed into suicide. And then, yeah, they can pretend that this is all part of the longer term plan, which means, though, that we would have to put up with her until her contract expires. And I don't know exactly how long that's going to be.
I thought the whole point. Sorry, there, Gopa. I thought the whole point of the sale of Star Wars is because they're due to pony up $25 billion. That's due with I don't want to say Viacom or one of those companies, and they don't have the money to do it. So that's why they're looking at selling Star Wars. Like they're in the back room saying, "How much can we get for Star Wars?" Selling that IP, and then there's rumors of George Lucas taking it back, and then there's rumors of this billionaire out of Saudi Arabia or Dubai or somewhere.
Oh God.
And then there's another rumor floating around.
There goes Bikini Leia right out the picture. They're gonna cut it out.
Yeah, but that's why they're looking at it, because they're owing money now, and then they're not getting the revenue because of what's happening in Florida. What's happening in
the parks. The parks aren't even covering their revenue.
No.
Wow.
They're actually I think they're shutting down more than expanding. So
yeah, they're in significant trouble because obviously coronavirus hit those incredibly hard, but they haven't recovered since, which has been the interesting thing because these are huge money spenders for Disney. So if you combine the fact that they can't seem to make films make money and they don't have the bedrock of these incredibly successful parks anymore, which is still not anywhere near the heights they had hit before the pandemic struck, and then you can see the argument, well, this is a cash-strapped company which might need to start asset stripping and selling off to cover the bills. But I don't know. I still think we're a way off that point. I think they would get rid of many staff members before they tried that.
Yeah, I think what Kathleen Kennedy did was smart, which was she got hired for the job, and I'm sure Lucas pushed it and Spielberg pushed it because that's technically their friend. So they figured they could do no wrong with her in that spot. And then immediately she patted herself with the feminism bullshit. And so it made it that much harder for Disney to get rid of her out of that slot, because she could just sit here and say, well, they're anti-feminist. They don't want a female leading in there. There's no females leading studios anymore. And it's just a boys club. So I think she really patted herself in that sense.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I'm trying to do
Stream killer.
My bad. No, I'm sorry. I'm trying to moderate at the same time too, so that's my excuse for going blank there.
The chat's been. Have I seen a few spicy Saudi Arabian Star Wars takes in chat? I'm sure they've got some.
I'm sure.
Star Wars the actual human equivalent of Jabba the Hutt. That's a really good
great.
idea.
Yeah. Oh, great. Now the Sand People are running Star Wars.
I was wondering if Tusken Raiders.
Tusken Raiders.
Sorry, I just want to make a mention. I started channel memberships so people can actually drop some stuff that I made in chat. So I, as the content creator, am going to gift some channel memberships to get shit running.
Oh shit! Nice.
Yep.
Nice.
I'm gonna do it. And I get paid. I'm paying myself, so I guess it doesn't even matter.
Well,
so
YouTube takes a cut of that. But
they take a cut, but that way I can actually buy some channel memberships. So there you go. I don't know how you guys receive them, but there you go.
You have to turn on the channel membership on.
Yeah, I think you have to click on. There's a thing that'll pop up, chat, and it'll say like allow gifts, and I gifted out 10 to get things moving. But I just wanted to mention that because I made some little cool emoji things to use in the chat. So But
Anyone who didn't
back to
get
the
one,
topic.
don't worry. It just means he hates you.
Yes, it's not random. I purposely didn't pick you.
You're shunned. I'd like to hear Mr. Brown talk about Star Wars because you're a huge Star Wars fan. I'm wondering if you have a take on that.
Well, I will say I'm more Star Trek. I do enjoy
Oh.
Star Wars, but it's gone. We've just got. I think we've all just got to accept the reality that it's gone.
Just take
and
the L.
Just move on. Yeah, it's depressing
No,
that we're all
I think
here.
that you can. Damn, Mr. Brown, you nihilist.
It's just the
But don't
same
you think that you could,
conversations all the time, and it's upsetting. Why can't they just give the? It's just this arrogance of not giving customers what they want, and just preach.
But what are you talking about? They're giving us Rey Skywalker back. She's getting her own film. That's giving the audience what they want. We've got the Filoni film that's wrapping up The Mandalorian, which everyone keenly watches because it's widely recognized as a spectacularly well-written show. That's something to look forward to.
Ahsoka in a month or so.
Oh God, yes, yeah, we are. Yes, Ahsoka's coming out. Oh no.
Oh no.
Oh no. We're going to have to watch it, aren't we?
I don't think that we have to move on from IPs, though. I think it requires just like they say with relationships, absence makes the heart grow fonder. And if they just took a fucking break, maybe we would miss Star Wars and want it back. Instead, we're just like, ugh.
I genuinely think they're all playing the long game, and I think our entertainment has gone. It's just they're playing the long game, and it's going to be like this forever. We just need to accept that the good old days are gone, folks.
God, I feel so much better being here.
Man, glad we brought you on the channel, Mr. Brown.
I'm going to have to take a shower and scribble that off.
Oh boy. See you guys later. No, I remember back being a kid in the early 90s, and there's obviously a dry spell of Star Wars stuff. And you were everybody was hungry for it and wanted more and more and more and more. And then we got the prequels and we all like shit on them. And man, now looking back on the prequels, we want at least some more of that. At least from my perspective, I'm like, I could go with another George Lucas prequel right now and just kind of feel like I'm kind of back in.
We've been reviewing the Phantom Menace for the past 5 weeks.
Okay.
And going through that, the film wasn't even all that good, really.
No. It's sad. It's good up until you get to Jar Jar. It sags so much when you're in Tatooine, except for the pod race, which is awesome. But then it sags again. Like there's like 3 points where you feel yourself actually just drifting off and thinking about other things. And of course, the Duel of the Fates at the end is pretty badass.
Well, there's no depth to the antagonist of the movie, Darth Maul. It's just here he is for 2 minutes, gone. Here he
what
looks
cool. What a waste!
Gone. Yeah, he looks cool.
Cool.
An absolute waste.
Yeah.
You have to like feed people like, why is he in this movie? Why is he on the dark side? Like, put some like layers to this. Like you just throw him in and they, like do this lightsaber fight at the end, and then that's it. It just.
Could you imagine those prequels? Could you imagine those prequels where Darth Maul was the villain through all 3 films, and we started right in the middle where they found Anakin, but he was already a teenager, and they had to fight tooth and nail to get him as a Jedi. I think that would have made those pictures infinitely better and more interesting of a take, instead of finding him as a kid and killing off one of the coolest villains you've ever created.
I think we made this point actually when on your channel, Brown, when the one I was on. Would it have been better had they cast an older Anakin with less of a gap then between his depiction in Episode 1 and his depiction in Episode 2? And I know Not Brown made the point that you would risk losing some of the emotional tragedy of the story if you're not taking a small kid away from his mum, who he will never really see again. But I mean, I think you can go sort of halfway with that. It would be better to find him, say, as a 14-year-old because
Yeah.
you would still have the same, or almost the same emotional appeal from, you know, the family breakup aspect, but also he's closer in time. Also, it would much better substantiate the Jedi's complaints about him being too old to start the training if he's shown to be older than the Padawans that we're then shown in episode 2 are training, even though they're Anakin's age at the time. So that would have been better. But I mean, the Phantom Menace, it has some really great highs to it. It also has some really low lows. Ultimately, it's probably the most pointless of all the prequel films because so little of it, Darth Maul being the proximate example, but there are so many other aspects of it which just don't really pay forward to anything. The important aspects are, you know, the death of Qui-Gon, because that sort of sets up Obi-Wan's reluctant relationship with Anakin in the second film, and his own inadequacies as a master. That's important, I suppose. Did we need necessarily to see Palpatine scheming his way to the position of Supreme Chancellor because it was so short and perfunctory and we came in at the end of that anyway? Could he have started in that position?
It could have been already in place. Just
yeah. I mean, the existence of the Trade Federation does pay forward into Attack of the Clones, because one of the things that conceptually about Attack of the Clones, which makes it more interesting, is that it does a huge amount more of the world building stuff than, say, Episode 1 in particular does. And you do see these various different factions which align behind the separatist movement, and they are all corporate and banking and big finance institutions, and so the implication is quite corrupt in their own right. And I like the fact that the Trade Federation is established in Episode 1 as a fairly clear and defined entity, but do you need a whole film in which to do that? Probably not. But I mean, I guess going back to the point with which we began this, it's all very well to say, yeah, well, they could sell it back to George Lucas and everything will be better, but I don't know. The prequels, I love the prequels to bits, but they are not great films, and he had some very strange ideas for where he wanted to go next as well, which were arguably worse with all the wills and all the rest of that bollocks. So yeah, it would be better than what we get now, but it would still be George Lucas unrestrained, putting his slightly madder ideas onto the screen. Jar Jar Mark II, yay.
Yeah. And that was Spielberg's fault too, because Lucas originally was going to let other people direct, just like the original trilogy, and Spielberg said, no, you can't let anybody else direct, these are your babies. And Lucas went, you're right, I'll direct. Why he didn't pass off the other two to other directors is beyond me. He passed off the writing, but he didn't pass off the directing, and I think that hurts him. And to go back to what you were saying about the Trade Federation stuff, man, it would have been so much better if all that politicking happened in the background. Like, you got hints and snippets of it and they made it a point, but if they had like a completely different story in the foreground and the snippets coming through every once in a while of the politicking and scheming going on in the background, that would have made for a better, more entertaining film as well. We want wars, not the politicking that leads up to wars. That's why the
pew pew,
the start
pew pew pew. That's what we want.
Yeah, we want pew pew
pew
pew. Yeah.
I also think they could have gone deeper with Vader and his apprentice. Was it Starwalker? What was that character in the video?
Right.
Starkiller.
Starkiller.
Yeah. You could have led that into Andor. I mean, you could have, like, there's so many things they could have done so much better with.
Yeah,
like the Darth Maul, doing, like, taking over the underworld and having that. You could have ended Phantom Menace with Darth Maul in the bottom surviving off vermin and using the dark force, and you could have ended off like that and led it into something else. But they don't do that. They just go about it in such a vanilla way, and it's
yeah. And the tragedy is, though, that the overarching, I think the reason that people are more forgiving of the prequels than they ever will be of the sequels is that for all the prequels have huge flaws in delivery. The ultimate vision is still very much there, and it's so definitively Star Wars. It still feels, it has that nebulous, it feels like Star Wars quality to it in the way that the sequels just don't. You find yourself incredibly frustrated with Jar Jar because you think, well, it's so easy to see how this could have been a really good film. I like the ideas here. I just hate the way you're doing them. Stop putting weird little kids characters on screen, George. It's not funny. It's not cute, and no one likes them. Like, the Ewoks are the worst thing of Return of the Jedi. We don't need an even worse version of the Ewoks. Please don't put Jar Jar on the screen again. Just kill him immediately. And that's his only use in the script. The ideas are all there, and that's the sort of the qualified defense I'd make of the politicking stuff, is that, yeah, we do all want to see Star Wars. The clue is in the title, but I prefer I do prefer it when that war is at least kind of substantiated by something. That the OT has that in spades, because there's only a certain amount of complexity you need to understand that here is an evil tyrannical empire, and it's self-evidently evil and tyrannical, and it's worth fighting against for that reason. But to see how the Republic goes down into Empire is George Lucas, he's drawing on Edward Gibbon's Decline and Fall of the Roman Empire. He's very interested in that sort of period of history. And I think what he tries to do in conveying the collapse is a fascinating idea, but he is a bad person for putting ideas into practice. And that's why he needs other people to actually write the scripts for him and then to direct them as well, so actors don't look like they're wooden.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was just a technical exercise in technology.
God, I mean,
Yeah.
Look how Lawrence Kasdan directed Empire Strikes Back, and you go, God, and that was his mentor in school. So it's just a night and day difference between episode 4 and episode 5, what it looks like. And then Richard Marquand,
Irvin Kershner directed Empire.
Oh, Kershner, that's right. I think Kasdan either wrote it, or I'm confusing him with.
Yeah, Kasdan wrote it along with, I can't remember what her name is. It's another, and she died, I think, before the Return of the Jedi script was finalized, and so her lack of him. So yeah, it was Kasdan and somebody else for that one, and then George handed over directing as well. He just sort of gave ideas.
But I don't know. He's such a static director too, and you're absolutely right. He comes up with these brilliant ideas.
He's not a director. He's not a director. That's the problem at all.
No,
I think he was lucky with Star Wars.
I think he had good people around him to guide him at the time. So he definitely had his good friend John Milius, who is an excellent screenwriter. If anybody ever wants to. You've seen a John Milius film, especially Conan the Barbarian. He directed and wrote that with Oliver Stone. And Milius went to school with Lucas, and he had a lot of people surrounding him that was really good, really talented, that he listened to. I have a feeling with the prequel stuff, he didn't listen to anybody. He surrounded himself with a bunch of yes people who worked for him. And I don't know if Milius even got a hold of those scripts to even give him any kind of pointers or feedback. But it shows. It really does.
Yeah, I mean, you see the same thing with Kingdom of the Crystal Skull as well, which is, again, it's another reason to absolutely fear and dread Indiana Jones 5, is that Lucas had all the ideas and all the story input in Crystal Skull. That was garbage, and even he thought, no, I can't be asked with 5. So if it's too bad for George Lucas, then how bad does it have to be? But, you can find the interviews of him, talking about Crystal Skull as it was being made and written. And he said, yeah, I want to do this. I think this is a really fun idea. I wanted to put in here. I wanted to have this particular feel like an old 60s B movie. And you're just screaming at the screen. There's a reason they were fucking B movies, George. It's because they weren't very good. So stop it. Just because you like the history part of it doesn't mean it works now. Please have better ideas. But and then Spielberg just sort of lets him get on with it for Crystal Skull. And then we get the result. Indiana Jones in a fridge escaping a nuclear bomb. Weird aliens and time travel. It's just, oh God, George, please stop it.
I think it's good. So when you're writing and stuff like that, it's good to take from all these sources that inspire you, and it could be bad sources, right? So he got a lot of his ideas for Indiana Jones and Star Wars from movie serials back in the day when he was a kid. And it's great to pick those apart and say, hey, what works in these? I'm going to take those and then I'm going to ditch the rest. But I agree with you. It seems like he didn't ditch the rest after a while. Like he was just like, hey, movie serials are great. And I'm just going to make an entire movie serial 2 hours long instead of half an hour. And stretching those out is just really boring and they don't make sense. Those prequels could be something. I've dreamed a couple different scenarios for those prequels, and they're fascinating compared to what he's put out there. I think I truly believe he can't get out of his own way, or at least he couldn't back in the day.
Yeah, so there you go, chat. If Lucas buys Disney, buys Lucasfilm again, from Disney, and what do we get? Well, not necessarily going to be any better, which will be a shame.
Copa with the mic drops tonight.
I know. I'm like, dude, I've killed the chat like 3 times. Sorry, guys.
No, it was well said. It was well said.
Well, I don't know about you, Cynic, but I think we've been sort of edging ourselves, and if we keep edging, then eventually there'll be a messy explosion. So we should probably start transitioning onto the Flash, I guess, because Vex will be here soon, and then we'll get demonetized because she'll say bad words.
She's coming on soon. She just saw my message. I just sent her the link, and yes, we're going to transition, just like Ezra Miller isn't. I don't think he even understands the whole thing. But
There's
yeah, we
that
can.
great clip of him being arrested when he
I'm
says,
transgender, non-binary.
I'm transgender, non-binary. You touch my penis.
You touch my penis.
Well, Ezra, come on, man. You can just make the link.
That's what I say at the McDonald's drive-thru. You touched my penis. I always...
We're expecting
this
getting
is
hot
fun
coffee
with
spilled
those
on you.
clips.
Oh shit. Yeah, we can start on that. She'll be right away. So well, let's just face facts, right? The Flash is absolutely bombing. It's set to lose about $300 million, which is what it basically cost to make and market. So it was almost like they should have just not even released it, right? And it's bombing at the box office. No one's going to see it. It's bombing with critics, and it's bombing with audiences. So this is Oppenheimer, actually. This is a complete disaster. Did everyone have a chance to check it out? I know Platoon and Brown did. Did Copa, Jay, did you guys watch it?
I am smart enough not to go. So I'll wait till I get it for free because I'm not wasting money on I know something that's going to be garbage. So
no, I haven't had the chance to see this gem of a film yet, but I do know there's a baby in a microwave, so I have to go see it now.
Yes.
Yeah. When I first saw it, I saw it at a midnight. Well, not a midnight show. It was like a 9:30 show last Monday, so a week ago. What's interesting is like there is something to say about watching it with an audience that wants to be there, because I think what happened was it got out of me what it wanted, which was like the initial reaction was, like, oh, that was not too bad. And then when you even start thinking about it critically, like on the drive home, I was like, oh, well, this was wrong. I didn't like this. This made me feel hollow. This made me feel hollow. And then around Thursday, I think it was Thursday, I went and saw it again. And it was just like, it was just not great. But I still left with, there were a couple of good things about it. I thought the comedy worked in some respects, in certain moments. And I thought what they did was pretty clever, because like you can only work with what you're given with, or what you're given. And Zack Snyder left you with this insufferable version of the Flash, which everyone knows is not really comic accurate. Like you don't have to be very knowledgeable about the character to know that that's not very comic accurate. And so what they did was like, it was a cool little writing and directing trick, which was like, okay, we're going to have a younger version of the Flash. We're going to put all of that insufferableness onto him. And it's going to make the mainline Flash look more mature. So it was a smart move on their behalf. And there's the emotional beats actually do work really well. The emotional moment with him and his mother in the, shocker, there's an emotional beat with him and his mother, which is the entire crux of the story. That's no massive spoiler, but it was unbelievably well done. And it was also destroyed like 30 seconds later with the most idiotic plot choice that you could possibly fathom. I don't know why I'm pussyfooting around saying it. I'm sure you've heard the spoilers, Copa, but
yeah, I have.
Yeah. So the plot, so when he decides to basically condemn his mother to death because he has to, or it's going to fuck up everything. And he's finally realized that Bruce was right at the beginning of the movie. The emotional moment, when he has to say goodbye to her is really well acted. Everything aside with Ezra Miller, fantastic moment, really hit me. And then 2 seconds later, he decides to change everything by like doing something that will make sure that his father gets released from jail. And sure as shit, it fucks up everything. And therefore he learned no lesson. There was the movie was entirely pointless except for the fact that they get to reset the universe, which was the point of the movie in the first place, I guess. So job terribly done, I should say.
Oh my God. See, this is the problem with multiverse movies is that it gives the writer excuse. This goes back to the George Lucas conversation too, which is if you give creative people too wide of a sandbox to play in, they're going to take it and run roughshod all over everything. And I feel like you can easily review this movie of like, yeah, well, the Flash, it had its funny moments and it had its great acting. It looked terrible. The CGI was awful, and the time travel stuff was completely confusing. And I'd probably kind of nail it because no one does time travel right. I think Back to the Future did it best, but other than that, like, and even with these characters today, they never seem to learn their lesson because the writer doesn't want to have that dramatic moment and let it rest. And that's what it kind of sounds like you're describing to me, is that they have this really dramatic moment with his mother that is deeply emotional. It's
really it's really well done, that moment.
And then I'm actually shocked that you didn't say that they killed it with comedy, that he said some kind of quippy thing, or George Clooney's nipple got in the shot.
No, not in that moment. No joke to ruin it. Nothing like that.
Wow.
There were plenty of quips and everything throughout the movie, but I thought it was appropriate for the character because you are dealing with a fucking annoying autistic level character with Ezra Miller's Flash. So it wasn't like a Marvel movie where everyone sounds the exact same because the writer just can't distinguish and allow people to be themselves and be characters, and everyone is talking the exact same way. It wasn't
the
like
only
that.
moment really where the quips actually do work against the scene as opposed to just being an extension of the character is when Supergirl learns from Zod that they found baby Clark and effectively killed him in the bid to get the genetic material to recreate Krypton. And she performs that part really well as well. She's obviously, you can see the rage and the bitterness and the anger, and then it just cuts away to the Flashes quipping at each other while there's like this pop rock music playing, and it's just like, yeah, okay, now that has tonally wrecked the thing you were just doing. But otherwise, I mean, that's the most egregious example of that type in the film. They did understand, I think, that they basically had one very clear scene in mind when they started, which was the scene with the mother, and they understood how important that was. And it's a relief that they didn't, wreck it in that way. It's just that they then went and wrecked it in the next scene in a different way entirely. And that's so disappointing because like there's no other point to the film. The whole point of the film is his character arc. It doesn't move forward in time. Obviously, by definition, we've gone back in time. So it's not about moving the universe forward. The whole thing is about sacrificing universe story for character journey. And then they make it redundant, which then you sit there and you think, well, what the fuck was the point of that? I've just spent 2 hours sitting here watching this, and he's Don Draper. He's gone right back to the moment he was when he started it and has learned nothing. Well done, film. But you're right about the problem with multiverses and time travel. It would be nice if writers even tried to account for or to understand the rules they themselves are putting on the screen and the things that make their story work. They don't, particularly in this film. So you go into it, and Bruce says, if you go back in time, you will wreck the present and the future, so don't do it. Then he just leaves because he can't be bothered to hang around and have dinner. So, of course, Ezra does it, or the Flash does it. At this point, we believe that he believes that it's a branching universe model of time travel. So you go back in time, and the decision you make, which alters history, only has causality going forward. So the universes branch off from the moment he makes that particular decision. But alternative Batman explains to him later that no, this is a different model. So this one creates entirely new timelines. There's retro causality, which means that if you go back in time, you change something, you create an entirely new timeline, and you've created a new history as well as a new future. So that creates problems in the film itself, because the film then proceeds to forget that that's what it said. But it also creates problems in the general scheme of things, because we distinctly remember that Flash has gone back in time several times across the last 2 movies in the franchise, twice alone in the Snyderverse, which this film establishes as canon. So by the laws the film has set out, we're already in an alternate universe because Flash went back and changed something to stop Cyborg exploding. So where do you want to go with this rule? And then the other thing is, of course, that once Flash learns that it's multiple timelines, you've created a brand new history, the only way the film can get back in any kind of comprehensible mode is to say, but there are certain events which are inevitable no matter what the timeline you happen to operate in. they explain this away by saying that no law can account for this. It must just be fate. And one of those instances of fate is, for example, that Bruce's always have Alfred's. And we're led to believe as well that one of the instances of fate which can't be changed is that his mother has to die in order for the Flash to be the Flash. Except that obviously can't happen because we've just been told that there are multiple timelines. And the post-credits scene, which establishes that you've changed the world in a different way, which still creates metahumans, means that you could theoretically go back and change something else about your mother to save her, which doesn't lead to the destruction of the world, which is what the film said was the major threat from saving the mother. Basically, this is a really long-winded and windy explanation of saying that it makes no goddamn sense, and I wish they would stop doing it.
Exactly. I mean, it's just a way for them to get away with whatever they want.
Yes, it truly is. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
100%. What did I just saw someone in the comments. What did everyone think of Ben Affleck as Batman?
Well, I'm going to go first. I can't stand that dude as Batman.
I can't either. I
just
needed someone to agree with me.
I don't understand why people are like, oh, he's like one of the best Batmans, if not the best Batman. I'm like, you are out of your mind. He's first of all, I'm not a big Ben Affleck fan.
No,
but I was just about to go on a tirade, so thank God you stopped me, dude. Go ahead.
Sorry.
No.
Well,
I was about to rip into Affleck, man.
Here's the thing about the Affleck Batman. The way Batman was portrayed in the shadows, the way he moved, all that was the best way to put Batman. Like when he was in the corner of the room, up in the corner in the shadows, and then jumped on that villain, like all that kind of stuff was excellent. That's how Batman should be. Ben Affleck, not so much. But I think it's the way that the action sequences of Batman in those movies played out. It was the cool aspect of Batman. Like you watch Michael Keaton. Michael Keaton looks like he's so stiff. He looks like a robot in the movies. It's kind of too bad because he looked really cool. But if you would have had what Affleck had, I think it would have been a good mold right there of the best Batman.
Keaton wasn't able to look around because of the
no
suit.
Yeah, it's the nature of
That's
the
so
suit.
stiff.
I'm going to be honest. I kind of liked the way Keaton's suit, like he had to move everything around in order to turn and stuff like that. I actually thought that was a cool look.
That's like a nostalgia thing, though.
Yeah,
I
I totally 100% agree with you. That's just me going back to me being 7 or 8, 9 years old.
Oh yeah, for sure. And on the nostalgia topic alone, I've said it yesterday on Brown's stream, which is just like nostalgia is awesome if it's secondary or even third behind a really great story. Like it's supposed to be cherry on top type of stuff. It's not supposed to be the focal point and the reason why you're there. And they didn't have any connective tissue from making it specific that it had to be Michael Keaton's Batman to connect with Barry on any level whatsoever. You could have replaced him with any variation of Batman. You could have replaced him with really any character, and it would have been the exact same story. There was nothing specific that was like, hey, it needs to be Keaton's Batman. We're going to make this work in the movie instead of it just being like nostalgia bait.
They could have employed, was it Nick Cage? Is it Nick Cage? Nicolas Cage?
Sorry.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm getting my superheroes mixed. I do apologize.
There are a lot of cameos in the film. It's easy to get them confused because they're too much.
It's not hard to get lost in the mix.
Yeah. But again, we were talking about this on your show yesterday, Brown, and I think you agree because I said that for all we can complain about Ben Affleck and whether he's really suited to the role, I did think he had. This is the film in which he had the most fun in that opening scene in particular when they're racing through the streets and they have to stop the bad guy of the week, and that was the first time I looked at Ben Affleck as Batman and thought, you're enjoying this time. I don't know if I can't remember if you
I
agreed
thought it
with
was
that
great. When I saw that in the cinema, I thought I would love to see a Batman movie just like this. It's fantastic. I really enjoyed the opening sequence.
Yeah, and then there was because there was also the prospect of given, and I know what taking on board what Cynic says about the point of nostalgia ideally being to aid the story. It's the difference between Spider-Man No Way Home and the Multiverse of Madness, where one of them integrates them and the other one just snaps their necks. But having seen Keaton back as Batman, and again, he seemed to be kind of enjoying himself, and I think it was well done. And they give him a small character arc. It's not huge, but it's there. So he's slightly integrated, but it gets you thinking: is there maybe scope for bringing him back in his own right? Is there scope for an older Batman story which has the nostalgic appeal, but also has a story to tell about Batman in his later life? With Michael Keaton, maybe reprising that role. And you get that, you get something that appeals to the older male demographic who remembers him very fondly, but you also get him in a way that's useful as opposed to just, hey, look, it's Michael Keaton back as Batman. Come and watch this film now.
My theatre was just full of people my age.
But not full.
7.
7 people. What was, give us your thoughts, Brownie. You've been, this is what you wanted to come on for sure, was The Flash, because you liked it, didn't you?
I did. I've been saying because it's such a crazy world, topsy-turvy world, and we all know Miller is a utter yeah. It would be just so funny that I was saying on my channel that it be stupid if it was the movie of the year and it made $1 billion. I think even a few people in my chat said, it could make $1 billion. But yeah, it's not perfect, but it's all the shenanigans with Miller before people have just switched off before they've even, they just don't want to know.
Yeah. Wait, who wants to go see one groomer star in a movie? Oh, I know. Let's duplicate him.
The thing is, you can see him getting better and better in the role in terms of acting.
Yeah,
no, film.
That's totally
and
fair.
By the end of the film, Christ, really, really good. I even had a conversation with somebody before our show yesterday. This could have been Miller's coming of age movie, and I think he did pretty damn well. And it's just a shame he's a complete wanker.
Yeah, the end of the movie when they're I don't even remember what it's fucking called, but when he comes to the realization and he's talking to his younger self that we have to stop, we can't keep doing this, because I thought there was a lot of depth to the acting there. I didn't think there was just the scene when it was his mother. It was from that point on, he really gave it his all. I thought he did a really tremendous job. It's just it's hard to ignore the outside forces that were going on, everything that he did last year and all that stuff. It's really hard to ignore that. I feel like I have to, every time I compliment him, I have to also preface it with that guy's a piece of shit. Just so everyone knows.
Well, I think that Ezra Miller is a fantastic actor. What I think happened to him, and I think Platoon, when you were on, we were talking about this. There's a movie he did back, I think it was 2010, 2011, somewhere around there. We Need to Talk About Kevin. Mm-hmm. And he was very young, and it's a very, very deep story, very traumatic story. It involves the autism and the deaths of his family and the violence and everything in that. So I think going through that movie process and not getting the psychological help that he should have received during that movie really kind of scrambled his brain. Because when you watch that movie, you're feeling uneasy, because it's really intense, a very, very intense movie. So knowing that and seeing him now, it kind of makes sense.
Are you suggesting, and I'm not being facetious at all, but are you suggesting that role is what kind of set him off?
Yeah, I truly believe that. I truly believe that,
because plenty of actors or actor coaches like Stella Adler or Stanislavski they both all go, hey, look, the realm that you're playing in when you're pretending to be somebody else and accessing this emotions is very dangerous for your mind. And I think there's also been psychological studies on actors, and they all have some kind of psychosis because they all launch themselves into these roles and play these parts. I'm not once again, Ezra Miller is a piece of shit, and I'm not giving him an excuse. But
no. I have to say this in the beginning of my review as well. So A, I'm going to be making lots of jokes about him. B, he's actually pretty good in this film. C, I think you can make an argument, which is that, yeah, you can't excuse his actions, but it does pay to understand the causes of those actions. And Hollywood has a long and inglorious history of turning these bright young things into absolute monsters. And so maybe making Ezra the complete personification of everything that's wrong in the industry is a way of actually absolving the industry itself of any blame. We're not really paying enough attention to the fact that he was able to go on this huge spiral, and no one at any point thought to say, Ezra, mate, stop it. I'm going to bring on an uninspired reviewer who has been waiting in the background. Hello, sir.
Oh. Hello, everyone.
Good evening.
Hi, Platoon. Thanks for the invite. Hi, Mr. Brown. Hi, Movie Cynic. I guess you're not here yet. Hey, Kopa.
Hey,
and hi, Jay.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. And how are you guys doing?
Well, we're talking about Ezra Miller's mental state, so it's as happy a time as we can possibly be having. But yeah,
I love the subtle nods that were in the Flash, about him, how the Justice League doesn't give enough help, psychological help,
Oh yeah, there's the joke in there about that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Then either they inserted it after the fact or they left it in. I like the idea that they did consciously put that in, and it was actually a moment of self-awareness. So he has this line after he's put the baby in the microwave and he saved all the falling babies. He saves the nurse who's fallen out with them, and he says, "You need to seek, professional mental help. The Justice League isn't good at therapy yet. Trust me." And I'm thinking, yeah, surely that has to be a meta joke. That has to be, right? Because otherwise, it's so stunningly unself-aware that you kind of wonder if anyone there is switched on.
Yeah,
I said this on Twitter. I said, if Ezra Miller putting a baby in the microwave is not, or them putting a baby in the microwave is not a metaphor for Ezra Miller, I do not know what is.
Well, in the film, it was to protect a baby from an explosion, wasn't it?
Well, sort of. So he explains that
I don't know why
you cannot
didn't
move
move
people
the baby,
very
but
far
that's me.
in the super speed thing. So it's setting up a mechanic, which is that, and he explains this overtly. He says when he's trying to teach his younger self, I think, like how it all works. He says you can't move people using super speed because it's really dangerous unless, for example, you put them in like a microwave as an example. It's something that equalizes. I think it's like equalizing the air pressure or something. Like a moving car, you don't feel the full G-force and the full atmospheric sort of pressure of the movement. And yeah, physically, it kind of makes some sense. It's just that it doesn't actually make any sense in the context of the Flash. So at one point, when a bad guy goes to shoot at the Flashes together, then alternate universe Flash, who has the powers, moves Barry Prime out of the way of the bullet, as a result of which he starts throwing up. Yeah, which is fine. It's consistent with this film, except that we've already seen him several times, including in this film, but certainly in previous films, moving people around. Like he saves Flying Sausage Girl in the Snyder Cut by moving her a huge distance, and she doesn't start vomiting all over the floor. So I like the idea, but it does contradict itself.
Even the babies, he says I can't move babies, but we see him move like, I don't know, 6 without putting every single one of them in a microwave.
Yeah, and it's just one of those annoying things that this film does, which is it introduces these mechanics. The mechanics don't accord with the previous films in the thing, and they don't even really accord with the things we actually see on screen in the film itself. So it's a very politely put inconsistent film, I'd say.
I mean, even the mechanic where he has his energy depletion that came up once in the beginning and never again.
Yeah.
Can anybody describe to me why Zod is constantly a villain in this universe? This is what his third appearance as a villain.
Yes, it is
a villain in this timeline.
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm sure there's a timeline where he's a goodie.
Is Doomsday in this?
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember which one Doomsday is.
The one.
He's the one that
Superman.
No,
yeah,
he's not in it.
Oh, okay. But it's constantly Zod. Like we're always fighting Zod. Like, does DC not have any other villains but Zod?
I think they just like Michael Shannon.
I've got a bit on this in my review because, like, yeah, I picked up on that in the same way as you did. So, yeah, this is his 4th appearance. This one is slightly muddled and complicated because it is this alternate universe. But prior to that, obviously, you've got. I think part of the thing that makes it almost work is that you are given character perspectives on this one pivotal event, which can be a really good way of binding an expanded universe together. So, obviously, the first introduction we have is Superman's perspective directly. He's the one who's fighting Zod. The next one we get is that's Bruce's perspective on the ground, isn't it, of the fight somewhere else from a different perspective. It doesn't make any sense that he should blame Superman for that, but I like the idea that it's still anchoring all of these films around this one very pivotal moment. We get the Flash's perspective at the beginning of this film in a flashback, which is like, there's no way to not make that a pun. I'm sorry. So like we see his backstory. He's also there. He saves a kid. Because obviously, it's Ezra Miller, and he sees a kid away from his father, and he has to just grab him and run away. So we get another perspective. And I don't mind the idea, which is that this is the intro moment for the entire world into the whole, meta-human concept. It's the moment gods first make themselves appear to man. And it's a very good way of making sure that all of the films within the thing at least call back to something which is familiar to all of them. The problem is that the rest of the film then happens, but as an idea I don't mind it.
Well, I thought the Reverse Flash is supposed to be a part of this whole Flashpoint paradox. Is he not in the film, or
No.
he's just
No.
What do you even?
Okay.
Well, hang on. I'm gonna bring Vex on. Maybe she can answer the question. She just popped in. What's up, Vex?
What
How's
up?
it going, guys?
Hey, Vex, was Reverse
Vex.
Flash in this movie?
No, he wasn't in this movie.
Okay.
No.
Bye.
so why wasn't he?
Bye.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, why wasn't he in the movie? That's
I'm
my
unclear on the
question.
distinction. So in this film has the evil time vortex Flash, who is alternate Flash in the future, who's gone and for
Isn't that
time after
Reverse
time has been
Flash?
trying to fix things, and then he becomes evil and mad. So he's in it. Is he not Reverse Flash? I don't know what
That's
Reverse
what I
Flash
thought
is.
it was supposed to be.
I
Like,
just
what
thought
else
he was
is that
just.
thing?
He only showed up for literally like 3 minutes in the entire film, so I just assumed he was like an easy way to get rid of young gay Flash and keep normal Flash.
Oh, so get rid of gay Flash and bring in the non-binary Flash.
Exactly.
We got you.
Oh,
Okay,
And
thanks.
he- yeah,
selling
he-
points. Selling points.
He's a strange little character. I'm torn on that as to whether I like anything about it at all, and I'm sort of leaning on the side of no. So the basic premise is that, obviously, Barry Prime and Alt Barry have been going on these adventures together, and they get to the big final battle, and Supergirl gets stabbed because she's an idiot, and Batman crashes because he's also an idiot. And then Alt Barry says, well, we can fix it. So they go and they try and fix it, and then they die again. And he says, no, we can fix it again. They die again. And he keeps doing this and keeps doing this and keeps doing this. And this is the moment when Barry Prime says, look, some things can't be fixed. Stop it. This is like, it's fate. We can't change it, even though that makes no sense. But that's the rule of the film. And Alt Barry keeps saying, no, I'll fix it. He keeps doing it. And then this third evil guy pops into the time warp bubble. And he is Alt Flash in the future, who's been just doing this over and over again, and he's become full of shrapnel, and he's a dick.
Mhm.
And then
He's a
then
dick.
it doesn't really make a huge amount of sense because he explains that the one like eternal paradox is Barry Prime himself, but he punched Barry out of the time warp into the alternate timeline in order that he would meet his younger self, which then creates evil dude who punched him out of the timeline to make that happen. And then he goes to stab Barry Prime, but Alt Barry, who is himself earlier on, jumps in the way, so he kills himself. And make of that what you will, because I'm still trying to make
Oh
that
It's
my
just a
God.
fucking mess.
Yeah.
That's all it
Oh
is.
my
But
God.
that's
That sounds
how-
so bad.
Yeah, like you're describing this, and I'm like, yeah, that sounds like every fucking multiverse movie I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Yeah. with worse CGI. That's about it. Yeah.
Oof, yeah.
I will say that when the giant glowing multicolored balls started coming on the screen, I was like, oh, is this gonna be like a call to like Green Lantern or something? Because all of the different emotions have different colors, and it was just poor CGIs of all the fucking different
No, it's
iterations.
Pride Month.
Cameo season.
Yeah.
You're having a seizure. You
Yeah.
don't know what's going on.
I was hopeful for a moment. That's all. It's
Oh, this sounds worse than before. I just
Yeah,
don't.
it's out of the theater. You don't think it's half bad.
That's what I
Right?
said.
And
the
then you
first
sit
leave.
down. Yeah, you sit down and you think about it. You're like, God, this is
Oh.
just a pile of shit. Really.
Yeah,
Oh my
have you guys-
goodness.
This is obviously the case of you walk out of the movie theater and you go, this part was shit. This part was shit. I can't stand this fucking part. But man, yeah, that was a good movie.
Yeah, it's such a bizarre thing because when I text Platoon and Vex as soon as I get out of the theater, and I was like, that was okay. And this happened, and I gave them my negatives too. But then when I sat down to write the script, it did become, I'm like, oh, 90% of the script is the criticism. There really is just like
Right.
these couple points that were so good that it raised the bar when I left the theater, but I still had a really hollow feeling. I even think I used that descriptor when I text them too. Was like, you feel hollow.
You did, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, you feel hollow though, for whatever reason. Then when I sat down to think about it, I was like, oh shit, it's actually not really that good. And like most people don't sit there and analyze stuff when they go see a movie. Like they just they leave with their gut feeling and don't think about it too much. And I think that's kind of what the movie rides on, is the hope that you won't think about it for even 2 fucking seconds. Because if you do, you're like, nah, actually, it's not that good.
Mhm.
It's Avatar all over again, where people leave
Yeah,
and they're like,
basically.
"Yeah, it's great," and then 6 months later, like, this is shit. Like, why did I even say I like this?
Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah.
Well,
Also, sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say I heard Supergirl steals the show. I heard that her moments are really.
I don't think she does anything
Whoa.
special. I just think that she's
Yeah.
totally fine in
Hot.
the role, and she fucking looks great.
She's also
Yeah,
Flash.
she looks
You know-
amazing.
She looks great.
You mentioned that she's got a very nice derriere, and so the entire time I was watching this movie, I'm just like, hey, where is the ass? Where is the ass? I'm
Just
just
put
like,
the suit
how-
on.
How
Put
is
that
this man
skin-tight
thinking?
suit on.
But it's covered by a cape and it's all CGI. So I'm just like, he thought the CGI ass was the ass. Like,
Hey, that was the one great CGI then in the whole movie. If they fooled me into thinking that was her ass, 'cause it was not that.
You gotta go on and Google up capes.
Dude, it's
Supergirl.
about shape, not size. Like,
like you
shape
couldn't
matters
see it much
more.
behind the cape is the problem I was having. Where was the ass?
Vex doesn't think it's a good movie because there was no ass.
There you
She's
go.
like, where's my ass?
None at all. None at all.
It was
I think it's the
ass.
point
That's
of
what she's saying.
universal
Yeah,
agreement
that's
is that this film would have been better with more ass shots.
Yeah,
but,
for
you know,
sure.
it is what it is.
Totally.
And
Like,
basketball
we had to
screen.
deal with Thor last year being completely naked. Like, give me, yes, the skin tight suit and all that stuff. Like, allow men to be men. I do enjoy seeing a hot woman on screen. Like,
we
it's
had
nice.
Ezra Miller ass though. We had lots
Ah.
of that.
Oh yeah.
Just so
He's
you know, I was the
transgender,
body double for
non-binary, so
Thor.
technically that's a woman.
or
No,
is
it's
it? I mean,
not a woman.
something in between.
Because he says he's non-binary, so that means that
What
he
is a
doesn't
woman
have
though?
Well, that's the thing. The great thing about being non-binary is that you don't have to answer that question. You just say that I'm not one. And it's like, yeah, but isn't that still a binary proposition? No, just move on.
Nerdy film girl always has the hot takes. I tell you, even I'm a dude, and Thor's like objectively like a handsome guy. Come on now, that's
Well,
wild.
I was saying I was the body double for that. Just so you get inside information. It's like, you know,
CGI
like,
body double.
I didn't want to
Yeah.
say it, but like, I might as well.
Even he had a cape that didn't cover that ass.
The ending of
They
the film.
grew his legs with CGI because everyone knows that motherfucker didn't do leg day. We all know.
No.
Just before we move off of Supergirl and her mighty fine, if like inadequately explored ass, I don't. Yeah, steal the scene is way too strong a praise. I think she performs it reasonably well. I wonder if part of the part of the reaction is just kind of pleasant surprise, because when you learn in advance, Superman has been changed to Supergirl in this film, and we're all so used to seeing A, gender swaps, and B, gender swaps to create insufferable girl boss characters, that when she comes on and she isn't one of those, it's kind of a pleasant surprise and maybe is inflating people's responses to her. She only comes in with, I think, 30 minutes left of the film. So there's no time to actually give her a very substantive role in the thing. Everything is pretty paint by numbers. I'm certain that they originally planned to have a sort of burgeoning romantic thing between alternate universe younger Barry and her, because it's her death that, he's the one who runs to her when she dies first, and it's her death that sparks him on his mad spiral of trying to fix things. But because the actual relationship building was either never finished or was cut from the finished thing, it doesn't really explain his actions, and she doesn't have enough time to really establish herself very much in the film. But she's reasonably well performed, and her tits are good. So, take your wins where you can.
Take the wins where you can. She was just a plot device in the movie. She was just like, we have to go get she's a MacGuffin.
Yeah,
that doesn't even work.
From what I understand, because I haven't seen the movie, but from what I understand, she has more effect to the plot than Keaton's Batman does, and he's in a much longer.
Yes.
Yeah,
agreed.
because it's
100%.
her death that makes him realize that you can't turn back time, or that you can't like fix things without fucking everything up. Essentially, like he witnesses Keaton's death, I think, a couple times, but it's like her dying that allows Zod to take over that planet and make him realize that planet's doomed. So it's her that's the key.
So even though she wasn't like a hardcore feminist or anything like that, I feel like it was just as bad that they really made a convoluted reason as to why she was actually like the key to Krypton or whatever.
That was like unnecessarily convoluted, wasn't it?
Yeah, I was like,
really
okay, can't it just change it in this universe to the last daughter of Krypton, and that works fine?
Exactly. Like, why did it have to be like Kal-El exists, but also we killed him because we really hate Henry Cavill? There's no way he's coming to this movie.
We hate him so much we went back in time and killed him as a baby.
Yeah,
like, should have done this
Hitler. Yeah, like he's fucking Hitler or something.
But
I mean, I don't know, because if you had done that, you would have. The only really thing that she has going for her in terms of character is that moment where she learns that baby Kal-El is dead. And again, she plays that scene strongly, even though then you get the whiplash, balked humor of the fight afterwards. But I don't know. I mean, it doesn't even make a huge amount of sense in its own timeline, because I think she says of herself that obviously, baby Kal-El is sent away. He's the last son of Krypton, and she is sent to protect him. But then we find out that Zod captured him and killed him while he was still a baby. So was she sent as a baby as well and has grown up in the intervening time? Or has she always been this age, but then why was he a baby? I don't really understand how it fits in the alternate universe's timeline.
So she was meant to go after the baby pod. So it's kind of assumed by the way she describes it, she's still as she looks right now. And she was just meant to protect it to make sure he gets to wherever he's going. But even that's an inconsistency, because in Man of Steel, they just kind of like jet him off to go to a safe area. And they don't know that that's necessarily Earth. So it's really just throwing a needle into a haystack, in all honesty. And somehow humans find her, but she was following the pod. So the pod was already intercepted, but she still knew to go to Earth. And then humans capture her. But she still thinks that Kal-El is on Earth despite not being.
Dude, I just zoned out through one.
Yeah, I was about to say. This sounds great. Why is it only making $60 million this weekend?
Like,
and it's even worse. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, wasn't Kal-El like the older, like, cousin of, what's her name there, Supergirl? So like,
that was her cousin, but it's not like they don't preface this by giving us little drips of information like they did maybe with Barry a little bit throughout this movie. Instead, they just kind of throw it at you in one random conversation. Yeah, and you're just like, oh, that makes sense.
Superman is the one that's trying to teach her the ways of Earth in the comics. So what the heck happened here where she's seeking him out to protect him and find? I'm totally lost.
She was meant to protect the last son of Krypton.
Than Superman.
Yes, she should have been. Yeah.
Yeah, she should have been.
Because Kal-El was a child, was he not?
Yeah.
It was a baby.
Yeah, so that means she would have been at least an adult to protect him.
Yes.
So
How does aging work with Kryptons, though?
Maybe Kryptonian women don't age. That's it.
Yeah, she hits that
Forever
and just
young.
stays there.
possibly she
That's
was
the only
in
way I can think of
suspended
that
animation,
would
maybe?
make sense.
Would this movie have been better if they just didn't even try to explain shit and just leave it relatively vague? Like, yeah, you fucked
Yeah.
up time. Look what
You don't need to know stuff.
Yeah.
Agreed. You
Again,
don't need
the-
to know stuff.
yeah,
Daughter
like,
of
so
Krypton
confused.
would have worked far better. Just do
Yeah.
Fill in
that
the
instead.
blanks.
Yep.
when
I am
Batman was
so
describing how it all worked with the spaghetti, and
Oh, God.
I just literally I did what I did when Vex was talking. I was like,
I do
Oh.
that. And yeah, I have a really seriously developing allergy for multiverse explanations. As soon as they come on the screen, I just think, oh, for fuck's sake, I've got a
shut
headache.
the fuck
Stop
up.
doing
Yeah.
it. Like, I don't want to know how Pastor explains like quantum physics. It makes no goddamn sense. But if you are going to do it, then at least make sure that it actually impacts the film and the film proceeds along the rules you've just set out. You don't do that and then not account for the fact that the thing you just yourself voluntarily offered by way of information is contradicted by everything that everybody does later on, because you can't be bothered to understand. Like, I can't be bothered to understand it, but I don't need to because I'm not writing the film. But when the writers can't be bothered to understand it either, there's a problem.
But
Yeah,
it's Michael Keaton's Batman making spaghetti and adding some tomato sauce. You know, you can forgive it.
How does he even know about time travel?
How
What-
does he
what
know about
possible-
spaghetti?
Yeah.
This is something that I thought was like the writers, I guess, trying to be deep, because you see spaghetti 3 times throughout this entire film. So it's meant to
Oh.
be like the cosmic unifier, I guess, for Barry and Batman or some shit like that.
It's the
which I
tomatoes
thought
in
was-
particular, because it's the tomatoes that his mum makes for the pasta sauce. It's the
Mhm.
tomatoes that, for some reasons, end up getting her killed. It's the tomatoes that he uses to save her. It's the tomatoes that Bruce uses to explain alternate timelines, and it's the tomatoes that eventually free his dad. It's the weirdest little plot hinge you can possibly imagine. Yeah, all of this stuff happens because tins of tomatoes are moved around a shelf.
Specifically green
Uh,
ones, because mom doesn't like the blue ones.
This is just
They're still filled with
anti-Italian
pesticides.
discrimination.
Yeah, they don't even use real tomatoes. They just use the canned ones. It's
Yeah.
like-
Oh my
shit.
god, the canned tomatoes. Yeah, you know what? I can't see this as an Italian. I'm just not going to see this movie at all.
Yeah.
Oh,
Offended.
it gets
Deeply
better
offended.
though.
Deeply
It's
offended.
a Latina woman trying to make spaghetti. If
Oh
that
my
makes
god, a
sense.
Oh,
Latino.
oh,
Oh,
wow.
my god, strikes
Oh,
2
God.
and 3, Latino and a
Well,
woman.
I mean,
Never mind, I'm not.
she was a MILF, so you know,
Oh.
I don't mind.
We're-
She was
back to
actually
two
making
strikes.
pico for some tacos. You guys planned it.
That
Scream
entire
color?
the last 30 minutes of that entire movie were a mess, and then after Barry like kills evil Flash or whatever, and then goes back to set everything back, like he learns his lesson, but then he undoes it 30 seconds later by being like,
Oh yeah,
I'm gonna pause time so I can say goodbye to my mom. Which
Mm.
emotionally, yeah, it's like, okay, you get a little bit of empathy for Barry, but again, it destroys his entire character arc throughout the
Yeah.
last 2.5 hours.
Yeah, but I mean,
Yep.
even what type of woman in a store would just randomly put her hands on someone and be like, "Oh, don't worry, I'll give you a hug." Oh no, no.
Right. Oh, this random fully grown man is crying in front of me over his mom
Yeah.
in the grocery store outside the fucking kids cereal aisle. Yes, I should
It works.
totally
Well,
physically
it works.
embrace him.
Trust me, it works.
She probably let the person who murdered her into the fucking house too.
Oh,
She's
yeah.
probably- yeah. She's not that bright. She's, led to her
Oh my
death.
goodness. And then it turns out that he still ends up changing the course of time anyways, because earlier, like there was that footage that was playing that was meant to try and
Mhm.
exonerate his dad. The tomatoes were down low, and now in this old universe, now they're on the top shelf. So now his dad is saved.
Because he has to
Yeah.
look up.
but predictably enough, it turns out he's changed the past, and so the future is changed again, as he should have known would happen. The whole point of the film was him learning that that's what happened and learning to
Mhm.
accept sacrifices, and then nah. And you just think, yeah, this is just a complete waste of time. What the hell was the point in doing that? But it goes, but the problem is that so much, and I'll say most of the film's stronger elements are Barry's, and Ezra's performance is generally pretty strong, and playing two versions of yourself can't be easy, and he does it pretty well. But every single decision he makes, which drives the film along, is based on him being an absolute moron and doing the worst possible thing based on information he tells us he has. So, for example, when he first goes back, he sits down in like our timeline with Bruce, and he says to Bruce, "Yeah, like I can travel in time." And Bruce's response should be, "Yeah, I know, because you did it in the last film, but it's not that." And then he explains that he can go back, he can save the parents, and Bruce is like, "Yeah, you shouldn't do that, you'll break things." And Ezra says, "But yeah, I can do it though." And then Bruce says, "Okay," he fucks off. So Ezra goes back in time. Ezra understands at this point that if he goes back and changes very much, he will break everything. So what does he do? He goes back, he saves his mum. That's fine, you would think. So, but then when he's knocked out of the timeline into the old timeline again, rather than immediately running back into the time warp and stopping breaking anything else, he goes in, he says hi to his mum, he sees his alternate self coming up the garden. Rather than then running back in time again to escape this, he rugby tackles himself. He explains all of this to himself, basically wrecking everything because he knows that this is going to wreck everything. Worst thing he could possibly be doing. Then he has to help himself get the powers because obviously he changed the past, he wouldn't get them naturally. And then, oh God, and it just goes on and on and on. He knows that every change he makes creates this catastrophic future. And yet when he sees Zod arrive, and at the moment he has no reason to suppose that there's no metahumans in this world, he says, well, I can unite all the metahumans now. I can create the Justice League. We can prevent Zod. And I'm thinking, yeah, but you yourself were just telling me 5 minutes ago that you had to not do any of this because you understand how dangerous it is. And now you're saying, yeah, no, let's just fuck with the timeline as much as we want to. That's great fun. And then he loses his powers and he doesn't think to try and get them back at any point until right at the end of the film when the plot needs him to. But he could have done it in any conceivable way in between that point and just doesn't because he's an idiot again. And I'm really tired, as well as multiverses, of just stories proceeding because intelligent characters are made stupid. And that's very, very annoying.
Yeah, I don't know how anyone hired him to like work in a crime lab with the decisions that he's making, to be honest. So this movie is a mess.
Dexter got hired for blood spatter analysis, so
yeah, but at least he was smart with how he ditched bodies, so that kind of makes up for a lot of things, right?
Fair enough.
This movie just probably should have been canned as well, in all honesty.
If it had cost half of what it did, it would have been. I'm standing by that.
If this is really bad, then what was Batgirl like?
Yeah.
Same woman wrote both of them too. So give you an idea.
I really want to see that film.
Yeah, I do. Just a morbid curiosity.
Yeah.
The fact that Keaton's Batman had made a cameo in that movie too, and they had filmed multiple endings for Flash, makes me think that if everything was going according to plan, like say Black Adam didn't bomb, James Gunn would have never been hired for all this shit. And we know that there was one of the endings for Flash was filmed with Keaton being the one that steps out of the limousine or whatever vehicle instead of George Clooney. It was Keaton. So I feel like he would have been the mainline Batman. All right, moving on.
No, well, I was thinking about it. If it's the same writer, I didn't know this. If it's the same writer, she probably wrote the scripts back to back to interconnect them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if Keaton was going to be in the Batgirl movie and that was going to be part of the DCEU, Flashpoint changes things, but Keaton would have taken over as Batman. They probably would have let that fucker play it until he dies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
What could it have been?
Apparently, there's a 4-hour cut of The Flash.
Of course.
That doesn't surprise me.
It's part of the Snyderverse, so of course there's going to be a 4-hour cut of you just don't get it, you don't understand. If it's all subjective, guys. And if you watch the 4-hour cut, it would all be explained in a very entertaining way. And it's such horseshit. I'm so tired of Snyder cuts and these extended director's cuts. Look, is it really that hard to make a 2-hour movie these days? Like, you can't pare this shit down. It is so absurd. Like the whole Justice League Snyder cut. I've said this multiple times, and I want to say it here too. It was like they looked at Snyder looked at Joss Whedon and said, "Dude, what you did was a bowl of diarrhea, and here, let me show you," and just made a regular turd. Like, it's
made
still
a long
shit.
shit where like your knees hurt because you've been looking at your phone for so long.
Yeah, your legs are asleep and you're a little sweaty afterwards.
That's take a shower.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't even wipe. You just go
you
in the
notice
shower.
that his extended cuts are always just over some obscenely long mark. Like it's 3 hours and 1 minute. It's 4 hours and 1 minute. This is all intentional because he thinks he's some grand filmmaker. So he's like, oh, 4 hours. That's a fucking epic. I'm going to make my movie just exactly 4 hours because I don't think I could really get away with 4 hours and 15 minutes because it's all
that's
shit.
subjective, dude. You need to read the comics. Okay.
It's the two taper mentality, right? So back in the day when absurdly long movies like Godfather or Casino were out, it would take 2 tapes to tell the whole story because they were long. And people used to look at those 2 tapes and go, that must be a good movie. It took 2 tapes to tell it.
Exactly.
And so they look at these run times and they go, oh, it took 4 hours to tell this story. It must be good. But no, it is complete shit. Stay away from the Snyderverse, everybody.
I remember thinking that when I was a child.
Yeah.
So that put that kind of mindset into a filmmaker who's given like a couple $100 million to make a movie. That's fucking crazy. He literally has a child mindset. Like, oh, if this is 4 hours long, it's guaranteed to be good.
Exactly.
It's so deep.
Exactly. It's just like, I don't know what everybody's take here is on Hateful Eight, but that movie is a boring slog as well. And it's
I actually loved the Hateful Eight.
Did you?
Yeah, I liked it.
Yeah,
I liked it too.
Okay. I thought
the first time I watched it, I really didn't like it. I just thought it was so boring and it was long for no reason. But now it's actually my second favorite Tarantino movie.
Really? What's your first?
I have to say Pulp Fiction.
Okay. Okay.
Totally reasonable.
You get a pass. If you were going to say Inglourious Bastards, I was.
Oh,
hey, Inglourious is my second favorite one.
Reservoir Dog says hello.
Jackie Brown.
Hi. Yeah, there
Jackie
you go.
Brown.
Jackie Brown.
Well, is this true that Michael Keaton was going to come back as an aged Bruce Wayne because they were planning a Batman Beyond?
Well, you can't have Batman Beyond and have him be an active Batman. It wouldn't make any sense.
He's retired Batman. Like he's training in Batman Beyond. Like he's training that young teen to become.
That would be interesting, but like there's a 71-year-old Batman in the Flash that's whooping people's monkey asses. So it's like, what's the point of retiring? You're already Batman.
That was so fucking unrealistic, by the way. Like,
I mean,
goodness.
Dude, there's a guy that's transgender non-binary running back in time. The whole movie was unrealistic.
Does the Flash speed groom Earth? So what happens?
Dude, he goes back in time and grooms who he wants.
Yeah, right.
He runs back.
Oh God!
Just all of Earth is groomed by the end of the movie.
This one's not really getting monetized.
Right. That's really why he stayed, so he could make sure that his old self got the power, so he could continue grooming in the future.
Right. He's just what he's really doing is just running from the police the entire 2 hours. You can't catch me.
On the Snyder question, though, because again, I think we were talking about this on your channel yesterday, Brown, and I wonder whether it would have been for the best to let Snyder complete his vision. There's a few reasons for that. There's the cynical one, which is that, well, it means that Snyder fans won't be able to say, but if he'd got his way, it would have all made sense. So it cuts down a lot of their arguments, but also because, I don't know, I slightly prefer even bad, consistent visions to wildly inconsistent and bad visions.
Yeah.
I would rather have like 5 Snyder films, which are shit in a consistent way, than 5 films, 2 or 3 of which are his, and then 2 of which are by some other random who doesn't really understand the previous ones. And I mean, obviously, this is basically saying, you know, which is the least shit option. But where does everyone else stand? Would the DC have been in better shape had they kept Snyder than they are at the moment, or not?
I'm inclined to agree with you on that one. I'd rather at least have a consistent vision, and that's just more movies for me to hate.
Yeah,
we
finally get an answer to the question of, was it in fact the Martian Manhunter who was behind all of it? I really want to finally answer that question. But sorry, Bran, I think I interrupted you there, Bran. Do you want to?
No, I was going to say, wouldn't Cavill still be in the Superman?
Yeah, he would.
Yeah, he would.
My thought is that this Flash like finished up the entire Snyderverse, right? Like that's what
No,
they're hinging
Aquaman
on.
will.
Oh, okay. Oh shit. That's right.
Yeah.
There's an Aquaman coming out.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Yay.
have to agree with you as well, because whatever we got in this movie was scripted based off the fact that Snyder is no longer there, but they needed to keep some continuity, so the vision is broken. So I think we would have been better off with Snyder. It's unfortunately.
It's crazy to say.
Yeah,
that.
I think I have to agree that maybe Snyder would have been better, at least. But the question is, where would he even go for his vision? Because I mean, usually it would move to Justice League and all of that, but Justice League was like what, the 4th movie or 5th movie that we got in the DCEU.
Mhm.
So I don't even know where he would go after all of this. What would he do? What was his entire vision? That's the question.
We'll never know because it was just too epic for us feeble minds to even understand anyway.
He kept going back and back to the nightmare sequence, and so you kind of wonder whether he would have figured out some way to titrate the two worlds into one, and that's where we might have ended up. But or whether he just keeps using it as a dream sequence because he likes that kind of thing, but doesn't really understand what to do with it.
Yeah, just likes his imagery, and that's it.
Yeah,
it's dark, gritty, and realistic, and we don't like that sort of thing. Meanwhile, The Dark Knight's like heralded as the greatest superhero movie of all time, but we'll ignore that fact.
Well, and then you look at James Gunn's Peacemaker, and it's excellent. I'm kind of curious to see how he's going to take on this DC universe. So, answering your question there, Platoon, I think he's going to get it to a point after 1 or 2 phases, and then it's just going to die out like Marvel. Because Feige, like, he had the reins tight on what's his name there, who did the second Thor movie, and then let loose for the Thor God and Thunder.
Oh, Taika Waititi.
Yeah, and you saw the disaster after he, let him loose. So I think Feige's kind of let everyone kind of, go on their own way, and then sees everything kind of crumble, and now he wants out because it's a disaster. I think James Gunn is actually going to have kind of a tight leash on his vision, and then again, I think it might repeat what Feige did, where he gets to a point where he just kind of goes, "Okay, you can have this, you can have that," and then they'll fall apart.
Marvel is like a wounded animal at the moment, and DC had the opportunity and they've fucked it up big time.
Marvel's on its deathbed.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
The best thing for Gunn to do is just reset DC, reset it to 0, and just work on 2 IPs. That's it. Batman, Superman. Make those perfect as possible. Just crush it with those 2, and oh my god, like you will see the destruction of Marvel, and it will be DC time for the next 10 years.
James Gunn's doing Superman Legacy, and the next Batman film that's going to be part of this new DCU is Batman: The Brave and the Bold, and it's going to be written by the person who wrote The Flash.
Yeah, well, there you go.
So, well,
I
guess we can try again, right?
Oh, okay. Well,
okay.
There you go. All right.
But didn't I saw some reports, but maybe you guys can confirm this. But James Gunn said that the first character of his DC thing is Blue Beetle. I think it's Black or Blue Beetle. Which one?
Blue Beetle. Yeah.
Blue Beetle. So I don't get it. Are we resetting it after him, or is he gonna be part of it? I mean, it doesn't feel as if they're even clear themselves. It doesn't look
going
like
to
they know what's
be.
going on.
This is why Aquaman was in the post-credit scene in The Flash, because they have to tell the audience, like, don't worry, you can still go see Aquaman 2. Like, please go see Aquaman 2. It'll not be the same Aquaman, but it pretty much is. They pulled a Loki season 1 and just like made sure to feed the audience and let them know, like, no, it's not the same Loki, but it really is, because now he has all the same feelings and thoughts and emotions as the other one would have. So let's move on and forget about that, right?
Is anybody going to see the Blue Beetle?
No.
I probably will, in all honesty.
Yeah.
Well, I take back what I said.
I like
not because it's going to be good, but because it will make for probably good content. So that's all.
Yeah, that's it. I'm going to go see it because it's my job.
Right. I like Zolo. I think he's a good actor, and I think he has potential of being a star. But recently he's come out and talked about how this is great representation for Latinos, and this is the first Latino
Representation.
super.
Yeah.
And
Wait,
it's like,
wasn't
well, dude,
what was Supergirl?
I don't know.
Wasn't
Was
she?
I don't-
Latina?
Representing
Oh,
Yeah,
wow,
but
a
she,
BL on the screen.
representing Krypton.
Oh, so this just goes in line with what everyone says. If they are not white, they are the first one to do it always, every time.
Yeah, but
Don't forget
right.
Super
So
Mario
fucking
Bros. The
stupid.
original movie. You know, they were Latinos.
See,
The Flash's mum is Latino, which means he's at least half Latino in canon. So
True.
they've already had Latino representation. I don't understand that point. I don't understand why you'd begin a new universe with Blue Beetle anyway. I will say I know absolutely fuck all about Blue Beetle. I've
Really.
never heard of the character before, even until I saw the trailer. The trailer doesn't look very good. It looks like a very, very generic, sort of slightly Iron Man-y suit power type dynamic.
Like
But
Power
Iron Man.
Rangers.
yeah, but why would you? Going back to what you were saying, Cobra, earlier. If you focus it very narrowly down on these two very well-established IPs, and then maybe you can build something off of their strengths. But starting the whole Gunverse with Blue Beetle, who no one knows about or cares about, and which isn't shaping up to be very good, kind of makes no sense. I don't understand why you would make that the start.
yeah,
Mhm.
it's really crazy because he gets this entire studio, and then he goes, "All right, guys, you ready? You ready for our first movie right out the gate?" And everybody goes, "Yeah!" And he's like, "You want me to announce it?" And they go, "Sure!" And he goes, "Blue Beetle," and everybody went, "What?
Wasn't this already in
Fuck
production
is that
though?
guy?"
That's
I
what I
feel
said.
like
Wasn't this
yeah.
in production already?
Yeah, his hands must be tied because it was already in production
Yeah.
when he got hired on, and everyone knows if you're just like, oh no, this isn't going to be part of my fucking universe, that
Was it-
everyone's gonna be like, well, I'm not going to go see it then. So,
So it seems like Warner Brothers has it different than Disney. I'm wondering if Blue Beetle it was greenlit with a script already written, because it didn't seem like there was any kind of promotional material for it until James Gunn got on. So it looks like they greenlit it, and maybe they had some pre-production stuff already set for it, but he ultimately can like alter that film any which way he wants it to go.
yeah,
Like he's had a lot of control over that one. He might have not been there to greenlight it, but he's been there. Let's say day 3 of pre-production.
Also, like, I can take this question for you unless you want to answer it, Platoon, because I have an answer for this immediately.
Oh, are we saying that Iron Man is equivalently
To Blue
non-established as Blue Beetle?
Beetle. Right.
Oh, is that the
Which-
question? I'm not sure what the premise
Yeah,
of the question
so
is.
like, because you were saying that if like, why start it with Blue Beetle, why not do it with your top tier characters? But Marvel Studios started with Iron Man, which let's see, X-Men was owned by Fox and Spider-Man was owned by Sony. So what the fuck are you gonna do?
Right.
The next on that list, even pre 2008, is Iron Man, Captain America, and Thor. Like
The
those
difference
are
is
your
that-
characters.
Yeah.
The difference in deployment as well is that, including that point, which is that you're kind of limited with who you can start it with, there was a fairly clear idea relatively early on that we are going to turn this character into the mainstay of the universe. We are going to make Iron Man like a reasonably well-known guy into the titular character of the MCU, the one who ties the entirety of this phase of things together. I am not aware that that's the plan with Blue Beetle at all.
Mhm.
If
Blue
they
Beetle's
do that
not
with
part
Blue
of the
Beetle, then
Justice League.
then that's fine. But I don't get the impression that that is what they're trying to do with it.
Right. Like Blue Beetle is not part of the Justice League. Iron Man has always been a part of the Avengers, which is a team that like
Or the Illuminati.
yeah, or the Illuminati for that matter. Yeah. So no matter how you slice it, like Iron Man always played a huge part in the Marvel universe, even pre MCU days. So yeah, he's not. Iron Man certainly was not like an A-list hero like Batman or Superman or Wolverine or Spider-Man, but he was not on the level of fucking Blue Beetle.
Yeah.
either.
But also, the
Like, I
whole,
think-
the whole
I think
mechanic and the
Iron-
point of and the character of Iron Man is tailor-made for the role that they have him fulfill. He's a billionaire tech whiz who can build things for everyone. He can fund the entire operation. He's a great character to anchor a cinematic universe around because he has the capability to put his fingers in all the various different pies. Whereas I don't think you can turn, again, I don't know anything about the character, but I don't think you can turn Blue Beetle into the bankroller and armorer of the Justice League, for example. That might be difficult to do.
Well, they you look at Guardians of the Galaxy. That wasn't a very popular comic. That wasn't
No.
very popular at all. So they took an unknown, put it on this path and made it very popular. And I think what DC is trying to do is emulate that by taking a character that's not very popular and creating this new storyline. I'm assuming because that's what they do, and trying to make them popular, just like Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
So I didn't know Gunn was starting off with Blue Beetle. So like,
It's
And I
because he
think
has
that's
to.
and I agree with you, Jay. And I think that's probably why they have Gunn there to begin with, is to make sure that. I think they look at him and they go, "Oh, this guy, he has a knack for taking obscure characters that people don't know about and making them into household names." And that's probably why they brought him in the middle of Blue Beetle, is to make this obscure character maybe a household name. So I'm sure there's a lot of trying to do that backstage in pre-production and now in the marketing campaign as we see ramp up. But I don't know. Like, I have to agree, though. Iron Man is more of a household name than Blue Beetle. Like, I know, my mom knows who Iron Man was before Iron Man came out. I guarantee you, if I talk to her today and say, "Hey, what's your thoughts on Blue Beetle?" She'd be like, "Blue who? Like, who the hell?"
Yeah, Iron Man had a 90s cartoon even.
Yeah, I think he even had a 70s cartoon, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, you did.
Vex, you were raising your hand.
Oh no, just a little bit of a tidbit of information. So there's 3 versions of the Blue Beetle. His character was first published in 1939 in various stages. And when it finally got acquired by DC Comics, they worked him into the Justice League in 1987. So perhaps the 3 different versions is something they'll explore later, and maybe that will help jumpstart.
Ooh, with
Justice
a
League stuff.
multiverse, maybe?
No.
Yeah, they also didn't they have like a huge the 2011 for DC Comics was the massive relaunch of it was called the New 52 because it basically rebooted the entire DC universe, and I think like they kind of remade Blue Beetle again.
Actually, it says that they canceled him after 17 issues.
Oh yeah, I mean they also like redid Captain Marvel and Miss Marvel and everything, and gets canceled and restarted. It's just a way because people will buy number ones. So even if your series is floundering and shitting itself, they're like, well, cancel it, start it with a new number 1, then we'll go 8 issues. We'll cancel it, start a new number 1. It's like, it's bullshit. It's basically how the major comic book companies run nowadays, unless you're like a Batman and Spider-Man comic book. So,
but this
There's also
character
the question
hasn't.
After you, Vex.
Oh, no, just this character hasn't been present in any comic books in 10 years now.
Yikes.
Yep.
That's why they brought in Gunn. I'm telling you right now. That's one of the main reasons they brought in Gunn.
But Gunn did really well making a like C-list hero group popular when the mainline heroes were doing really well with their movies. And then you give him Suicide Squad, and no one gives a shit about Zack Snyder's Superman or Batman, and they hate it. And the Suicide Squad bombs. So,
right.
Like you can do well when someone else is already doing well. Can you do well on your own? I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see.
Suicide Squad 2 was good.
Oh, it was good, but
great.
it bombed. It just didn't do well.
It bombed, but
I liked it.
the first one was a disaster, I think. But
Yeah,
I
that
mean,
was
the
a shit
second one
show.
was
Release the Ayer cut.
Yeah, I thought the second Suicide Squad was actually kind of boring from my perspective. Yeah,
I didn't enjoy it either. It was dull.
I thought it was mid. I thought, I was like, whatever. Like, I completely. The only, well, I shouldn't even say that, but like he kind of failed on that. Now I'll give him credit. It came out during COVID, so who knows what kind of.
I won't give him credit. I will not give them credit. Godzilla vs. Kong made $100 million in the US.
Really?
Godzilla vs. Kong, while also being released on HBO Max 6 months before Suicide Squad came out. So that is not an excuse. I do not give these movies passes at all.
I totally
Same
forgot
with,
about that. You're
Wonder
right.
Woman 84 bombed too. So
yeah, but that movie was
shit.
It deserved to bomb.
Was that ugly?
There is a problem with as well with James Gunn, in that we will talk, I think, rightly about the success and the unexpected success of the first Guardians of the Galaxy film, but it's the same dynamic as with Taika Waititi when everyone was sort of pleasantly surprised by Thor Ragnarok. But Taika didn't write Thor Ragnarok, and James Gunn did not on his own write Guardians 1. He was the sole writer for Guardians 2 and 3, which gets steadily worse, just as Taika Waititi is the sole writer for Love and Thunder, and that is significantly worse than the one where somebody else did the bulk of the script writing. So I don't know that James Gunn has a huge track record of success when he is doing all of this stuff on his own. I think he is one of those people who very much is at home putting his spin on a script written by somebody who can actually write. And I don't know that that really bodes well for a whole universe under his control, given that his solo projects are a bit kind of...
Peacemaker was good.
Yeah, Peacemaker is excellent.
Was really good.
Yeah.
But this is a question I posed a while ago, which is, what has James Gunn done to prove that he can run an entire movie studio?
Nothing.
Nothing
at all.
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, I mean,
But he did run the whole studio.
That's it.
You get one hit film. Look, and that's another thing too. Is like, look, if you just put one hit film underneath your belt, man, the world opens up to you. You can now run an entire major studio.
What did KK do to prove that she could run that?
Oh, well.
She has a vagina. That's it.
She smashed the patriarchy.
Other than make coffee.
She never
Spielberg.
She never got upset when George called her sugar tits and told her to lose 5 pounds.
She bided her time.
She's just like, I'll bite my tongue on this one.
I don't think George will be the type of person to call anybody sugar tits.
No, not even his own
He
wife.
seems very meek and mild.
Yeah, he'd probably ask you to do some Leia.
He probably does like missionary only.
It's a new character in Star Wars.
Yeah, missionary only, but you have to make lightsaber noises while doing it.
It does, but there's that famous interview where she's sitting, it's just after Disney's bought Lucasfilm, and it's her and George Lucas being interviewed together. And it's the one where he looks kind of slightly unhappy, but he says, obviously, I've left it in good hands and I've given them all these story treatments. And she says, yeah, we're going to absolutely respect the legacy that you've created and the characters that everyone loves. We will honor them and defend them and protect them. And I like the idea that both of them, underneath all of this facade, are kind of knowing now that this is her revenge moment. He knows it. She knows it. So as she says that, she's thinking to herself, now you're fucked. And he's thinking, oh God, yes, I am. Just adds a whole new complexion to that little interview. The other James Gunn point is that, it's hard to see what he's done that qualifies him to run a major studio. We're also in the weird position of having to hope that he's bullshitting in what he's saying in public, because this is the guy who will probably talk up Blue Beetle, whether or not it was something that was landed on him or not. He's also someone who's come out and said that The Flash was a brilliant superhero film. It was absolutely one of the best things he's ever seen. It really does justice to the characters. So either he's bullshitting, and I hope that he is, because if he isn't, then he is an idiot, and he genuinely thinks that that's good, and that does not bode well at all for the studio under his stewardship.
I'm sure behind the scenes he's saying, I'm hoping that he's saying that The Flash was a bullshit movie.
I'm sure he's contractually obligated to say.
I couldn't imagine someone running a major studio for an entire conglomerate of media and saying, yeah, no, this movie's going to be shit, guys, but please buy a ticket.
It'd be amazing if he was honest. But he could have played it honestly. He could have been like, this movie's going to be total ass, you guys. Just wait till you see what I'm going to do.
That's true.
He could have played it like that.
That's the thing, too, is he was Marvel, or sorry, not Marvel, but DC and Warner Brothers was caught in a rock and a hard place because they had to write off that Batgirl movie. And then they had this one that was, I want to say the budget was over 200 million.
I think it was 260 million, if I'm not
for
mistaken.
The Flash.
Yeah.
The Flash.
Yeah, plus marketing. So
right.
100 million.
And so they had to release it, and they knew that Ezra was a problem, and he was nothing but a negative headline grabber. So they were caught in a rock and a hard place. They had to release this crap anyways and try to make the best of it.
Didn't they can another film with Batgirl though?
Yeah.
Another film?
Another one.
Really?
Weren't there two films that got canned? There was Batgirl and there was one other thing, or maybe it was a show. I could be mistaken.
Oh, it might have been the show. I don't know.
Well, Batwoman was cancelled. It was a tragedy from which the world will never recover. But...
yeah, it's probably Batwoman. That's probably what you're thinking of.
Maybe. What was the budget on the Batgirl film?
100 mil.
That's it?
That's
Yeah.
cheap.
Yeah.
It wasn't
was
finished
cheap.
though at that point, was it? So the reason they
No.
canned it, I mean,
But
it was something
Michael
like
Keaton was
70%
on
done, I think
board.
it was.
It would have been another 100 million, but they just pulled the plug.
Couldn't they have made the Flash a tax write-off as well?
I mean, it
No.
lost pretty much all of its money, right? If it's going to lose
Mhm.
300 million and it cost in total with marketing 350, I mean, would it have been
there we
better
go.
just not
Supergirl
release
movie
that
was
money?
Yeah,
canceled.
chat saying Supergirl. Is that the
Oh,
one with
shit.
that shot that was released of the running down the street and it looked like a fan
that
film,
was-
but not a good
no,
one?
That was
No, that was
Batgirl.
that was Batgirl. Yeah.
Oh.
In by
'Cause she's
chat
wearing
request, I'm moving. By chat request, I'm
Yeah,
moving
move
Vex with
Vex
Brown. Yeah, because I keep covering her up
Yes.
when I click
I'm on the bottom.
You're a
Ooh,
bottom,
like
bro.
it.
How do you do
Yeah.
Platoon help?
Again.
I can't do this.
I don't know how this thing
don't
works. I
know
think you just
either.
click
We
on
needed it
drag.
built.
Oh, there.
Okay.
No.
Bear
what
with me,
happened?
guys. Bear
Oh,
with
there
me.
we go.
Bear
I
with
got
me.
it. I got it. I
It's
got it.
done.
Funnily enough, a couple of weeks ago, I think it was a month ago, my sister and my dad went to a bike show in my city, and they actually met the stunt woman who rode the bikes in the canceled Batgirl movie. So yeah,
Huh.
at least people that were in the movie are still getting work. It's a good sign.
Yeah, they mightn't have if the film had actually come out. But
Yeah, it was probably save everyone's jobs. not doing that thing.
Didn't one of the guys who wrote it or directed as well say that they still have a copy of it? Someone has a copy of
Someone
No, they
totally
tr-
has a copy of that, dude.
Yeah,
Yeah,
th-
100%.
yeah. From what I understand is they tried to go salvage the footage and
The
couldn't.
drives was taken. There's nothing.
Yeah.
Isn't it the same guys that did Bad Boys 3?
Yeah, man, that super smash hit that everybody knows
Yeah.
and loves and quotes all the time.
What a huge hit.
Shit
Yeah.
just got real.
Shit just got real.
Shit.
I know we were like mentioned Kraven. Are we going to talk about that? at
Oh,
all?
yeah.
We waited for you. We waited for you, Vex.
Yeah. Well, Vex, why don't you go first?
Oh,
What did you
boy.
think of the Kraven trailer? What do you have to say about the Kraven situation?
Well, I'm craving that movie.
Oh,
No.
Jesus. Sorry, you're booted.
Um,
Bye.
Oh wow! I used
No,
to
you know
respect
what?
you.
Okay, it's probably going to be another just kind of like mid action flick / superhero mix up movie. But the trailer looks better than I expected it to be, in all honesty, especially with all the information we've gotten around it so far. I actually really like Aaron Taylor Johnson. I think he's a good actor, and he's proved himself to be a good action star with Bullet Train.
Oh wait, there's
I
a
actually-
trailer out.
Yeah,
Just
the trailer
released
dropped
right
today.
before the show.
Oh wait.
Yeah.
I well, you know what? I'll go check it out.
Okay.
But I don't know him. I like that they're giving it the rated R treatment, so they're not going to pull punches
Yeah.
in that respect. Hopefully, and honestly, I want to be a little positive. Okay, guys, like every movie's just been bad. Let's be a little positive about something, even if it'll be mid.
I'm one of those people that liked Morbius. So
Really?
yes, I liked it.
ironically, though, right?
I liked
Follow
it.
up question.
Yes.
What did you like about it?
Yeah.
Well, I like that it stuck to the storyline of Morbius. Like I like how they kind of stuck with that. I don't like it when they deviate so far from the original storyline that it's like, go ahead, speak.
Sorry, follow up question to that then. Okay. Objectively speaking, without referring to the source material, what did you like about that movie?
I thought it was okay. It wasn't great, but I liked it. I thought it was better than a lot of, and I like how they take a villain and they made it the focal point of the movie. It wasn't fantastic, but I liked it. It was better than most movies. Like Venom was awful with Carnage and everything. That was just god awful. I didn't like that at all. It just was fast paced. There was no storyline.
Yeah.
Morbius, at least you got to know the character. You got to see the flaws of the character. You could see how he developed. Yes, there was flaws in the movie. I see that, but I thought it was better than most movies out there.
Okay.
But watching the Kraven trailer, because I saw Vex post it, I got excited because it actually looks really good. It got me excited, and I don't get excited about movies anymore, but that one got me excited. So
Fun popcorn flick at the very least is what I'm expecting. Yeah.
We're not
So-
talking about Morbius anymore.
No, just before we move on, Mr. Brown, you have to depart, I believe. But thank you for taking the time and for coming on. Before you depart, do you want to give yourself a quick plug? Where can we find you and what's happening on your channel?
Mr. Brown Alliance. I think we're doing the part 5 of Phantom Menace on Wednesday. We've managed to drag it out 5 weeks.
Jeez.
5.
God knows
5.
how.
You spent 2.5 hours doing the fucking pod race. That's part of the reason why.
If I may, I was in a bit of a bad mood coming on because I watched an interview with Phoebe Waller-Bridge and Harrison Ford. Fuck, it was cringe. Not good.
Can you link us, please, Mr. Brown?
I think if you go to Radio 1 YouTube channel, it's they're obviously doing the press rounds now.
Okay, it'll probably be one of their latest videos, right?
Is this the one where he kind of like praises her? He's like, "Yeah, Indy's down in the dumps and blah 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 blah," and then this one comes here and saves me.
She just looks so socially awkward. It's awful.
That's her whole shtick.
Like me.
Yeah, isn't that her thing?
But anyway, yeah. Cheers, guys. Thanks for having me. Chat, you're
Nice
wonderful.
meeting you.
Nice
Bye,
meeting you.
Mr. B.
Chat, you're wonderful. Take care.
Yeah,
Cheers,
thank you,
everybody.
We'll see you on Wednesday.
Bye, Branny.
We will indeed. Take care, boys and girls.
Take care. Nice
Bye.
meeting you.
Oh, do I have to boot Brown?
No, I'm doing it.
Oh, he's got it. Okay.
I'll boot.
All right. Just FYI, everybody, too. Platoon and me and Vex and Uninspired are regulars on Mr. Brown's Sunday show. It's a fucking awesome show. It's one of my favorite things to do. It's one of my favorite streams to be a part of besides our own here. So absolutely go over there and subscribe if you're not already. He's
It's
the
much
host.
better produced than this one is.
Yeah, it's way
puts
better
effort into
produced.
what he does.
Mr. Brown's the host, and he picks the topics, and it's a lot of fun. It's a giant it's a giant fun club. It's the best way I can describe it. The chat's always popping off. It's a great time. So go over and subscribe to him if you haven't already. But back to Kraven.
I just watched the trailer.
Thoughts?
Did a drop of lion's blood make him who he is? What
Yeah,
the
it's
fuck
really
was
Yes,
that?
it did.
It's stupid.
Yeah, the
Where can I go with
Lion-Aids
that,
gave him powers, bro.
Yeah.
Oh man, but honestly, Aaron Taylor Johnson, sexy man. I'd love to see him in any role, to be honest with you. I've liked him since he played Kick-Ass, which is one of my favorite superhero movies.
Yeah, that's a fun movie.
And yeah, it looks like it's not going to be that good, but it looks like an enjoyable movie. It looks like the first, well, no, I was about to say the first Venom, but the first Venom was trash.
It was,
Mhm.
yeah.
Second
So,
Venom was trash too.
Yeah, second Venom
Yeah.
was even more trash.
Yeah, it was worse.
I don't
Trash
know,
the sequel. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I think Morbius was better.
but yeah, it actually looks enjoyable. I'd watch it.
I think my biggest issue with Kraven was not the trailer at all. I was actually like, this actually doesn't look too bad. My biggest issue with Kraven is who is going to give a shit?
Yeah.
Nobody.
How much money are they spending on this? It's obviously in excess of 100 million. It always is at the very least. Who is going to care about this movie? Because if someone like The Flash is only making $55 million, regardless of issues surrounding it, how in the fuck are you going to get Kraven? That, you know what's wild? Morbius opened to $40 million last year, and they only got The Flash to open to 15 million more.
That's the power of
Yeah.
the game.
That is pretty wild.
That's crazy.
yeah.
The way to do something like this is to like genuinely write and produce a good movie. Like the first Iron Man is genuinely, without even knowing who Iron Man is, or even thinking it's a superhero movie, is a genuinely good movie.
Yeah.
Is I don't know anything about Kraven. I just watched the trailer myself,
He
and
hunts.
it looks ridiculous,
He has
but it looks like a
Lion-Aids.
he has now he has feline aids now, and But apparently it juices your muscles up to 400% capacity. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It looks ridiculous, but it looks like a fun ridiculous. I agree with Uninspired.
It
You know,
could be. I literally just watched the trailer as well, and it's like it's one of those things that you walk past, when you go to the supermarket, and there's usually the cut price stuff that's like that no one's ever really heard of or is very interested in, but they put it at the front in a little basket. And if you're really bored and you can't afford a good film, then you go and pick up one of those. And it looks a little bit like that in the sense that it's so. I can't imagine it's relevant to anything beyond itself. It's obviously just capitalizing on the superhero meta. But I think the audience have cottoned on to the fact that everyone's capitalizing on the superhero meta, which is one of the reasons we're getting a bit tired of them. And so even if this turns out to be in its own right not terrible, but it doesn't perform well because no one wants to go and see it, I think that contributes even further to the impression that superheroes are a bit of a whacked out genre at this point.
yeah, I think you can look at immediately. You skip in the middle of this trailer and you look at it and you go, "Oh, that's a superhero movie," because it has that Marvel look. I think they're trying to bring in like a more of an adult audience, making it this bloody, but I don't think it's going to work because I agree with you. I think people are just they're just looking for an excuse to not watch a Marvel movie at this point because it is so paint by numbers. They know what to expect. Watching one is like watching them all, and it's just such a bore at this point. And I'm not saying that superhero genres isn't a bore or there's such thing as superhero fatigue, because no, there's just bad movie fatigue.
Yeah.
I think if this had a completely different look and they played it a different way, it might actually catch on. But this harkens back to our earlier point, which is I don't think Marvel understands just how much trouble they're in.
Agreed. Yeah. I think they're going off the fact that they've been on a steamroll until like maybe 4 or 5 years ago, and they're just hoping that will power them through even when they put out mediocre product. And it's just people are starting to realize that Ant-Man 3 was the kind of the first instance of that, and they are just refusing to kind of buckle down to it.
No, I mean even Thor: Love and Thunder before, because Thor: Love and Thunder had a massive drop off because of word to mouth.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah,
like
absolutely.
It's Marvel. All they're trying to do now, and I hate to say this, but they're trying to do what DC did with the Joker, because Joker was such a huge hit. He was a villain.
Exactly.
Like they made a ton of money. Let's try to do the same thing. Let's bring out these villains and try to make them their own movies. I don't know. This could lead into something really cool. Spider-Man. I don't know.
Yeah, but who's gonna play that?
I was
That's
going to
a
say
mess
this is
in and
all
of
Sony.
itself.
Yeah, I know.
Because who's going to be that Spider-Man that participates in that universe?
Miles
'Cause it's-
Morales.
Right.
I was going to say Miles Morales.
But that wouldn't even and that wouldn't even fucking make any sense whatsoever.
And you even get
It's
to
just
see
a
Rhino
mess.
in the trailer.
Oh, that was a huge mistake. I felt like when
They're
they
setting up
started...
the Sinister Six, right?
Oh, I know. But when they started introducing him, I was like, this was going well right up until this moment. This is going to be so fucking corny and stupid.
I think
This
it
is
should be
going to potentially
self-contained.
ruin the movie. Yeah.
There's 3 things that I kind of noticed watching that Kraven trailer, which I think everyone hasn't acknowledged yet. That will probably make it at least a okay box office success. They purposely made Aaron Taylor Johnson shirtless throughout 75% of it.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Like he had no reason being that shirtless. Okay, so you guys really underestimate the how much women will just kind of dedicate time just to see an attractive man on a screen. Okay,
And
Aquaman 1 is proof of that. An entire 50 Shades of Grey series is also proof of that.
Twilight.
We were just told when I was complimenting Supergirl's body earlier that I was being objectifying. So I think that it's a little rude of you to be talking this way.
But I didn't tell you that.
No,
he's not even wearing a cape.
That's not you.
He's not even wearing a cape to cover up his abs.
But so there's that, right? I think also it's starting. I think John Wick helped revive a little bit of the like hardcore action genre a little bit, and even with the success of the last 2 entries, I can see that this one is taking more risks in that the trailer exclusively focused most of the time on how bloody the action gets.
Yeah.
So I think that is something, because we don't actually see that a lot in any other superhero movies when you really think about it.
Yeah, it was a smart move for them to go R-rated with this because
Yeah.
it makes it more. I don't know. It, even though it looks as paint by numbers, because I was like, oh my god, you're doing an origin story for Kraven that looks like a superhero origin story. Well, it's R-rated, like it's a little shtick. It gives it something different.
But
so,
how much?
Yeah.
But how much conviction do they have behind this? Because they're doing a Daredevil show and they're making it PG-13.
Again,
So-
this is Sony. This is
Yeah,
not
this is
Marvel.
Sony though.
Oh, yeah,
this
that's right.
isn't-
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did see that
Yeah.
bumper. My bad.
So that's the other
I-
thing to keep
yeah.
in mind. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't mind. I don't mind it. I prefer to see the villains because at least you're getting some depth to the character.
The other thing too is I think the formula that we've been working on with all these superhero movies so far is good guy gets his powers, and good guy like encounters some existential threat that's like from out of this world or some shit, and we get like a tinge of that with the whole Rhino thing, but there was a very strong emphasis on the fact that the father was the reason why the family was broken up, and that he ends up being kind of the main antagonist of the film as well. So it is,
Yeah.
it's breaking away from the formula a little bit to try
Is
and
it
give
though?
it a
Isn't that
unique-
exactly what happened to Shang-Chi? Isn't that the exact same
I didn't
story?
watch Shang-Chi. So I have no
well,
idea.
no, Shang-Chi wasn't even that bad.
No,
It was
no, it really
mediocre.
wasn't.
That's
It was, yeah, it was mediocre. Like, it definitely wasn't a bad movie by any stretch, but it's basically following that. But great call on getting a tremendous actor to play his father. Holy shit!
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think Russell Crowe's job right now is basically just going in different movies, trying on different accents. I think that's just
Yeah. He's just like, they're just like, hire him to carry this, please. I'm gonna look up the budget to Kraven right now.
Yeah, Russell Crowe, I have to say, his last like great role where he's not just showing up and using a different accent. Well, actually, he is using a different accent. Is The Nice Guys.
yeah,
He is
Yeah.
using an accent.
Yeah, that was a really
Yeah,
fun movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Underrated too.
Very underrated.
Shane Black's last good movie before he went on to make, what was it, The Predator, where
The Predator.
autism
Yeah.
is the
Oh.
next step of
Autistic.
healing.
That's basically like body positivity.
Yeah, well,
Like-
I love the fact that there is a 9-pound kid or a 9-year-old kid who could put on this like 300-pound helmet and just wear it and totally know how this alien technology functions like right away. He's like, oh, this totally matches my autism and I can read all this now. It's just the most ridiculous thing ever.
Oh my! And now that's a sexual preference, so it makes it
Right.
even
It
even
is.
worse.
Oh god.
What, Predator helmets?
Well, I am told that there is a community which is trying to say that yes, being a predator is a sexual preference, but that's a different kind of predator.
Oh, guys, this is a Theo Vaughn thing right there. He's got the tisms.
Yeah.
Oh shit!
Now, if it was Theo Vaughn in the Predator mask, I totally believe it. Could you imagine that dude with a little mullet coming out of that mask?
Oh yeah,
That would be awesome.
it makes sense.
Man, just cast
Totally
Theo
makes
Vaughn in any movie, to be honest.
Yeah, there you go. He should have played what you call Kraven.
That would have been amazing. He already has a mullet and everything. Oh my
Right,
god,
yeah.
doing great. I can't find the budget on Kraven for whatever reason.
Yeah,
Probably
I checked
won't
too.
get
I
one
don't
for
think
a
that they
few
haven't
months.
released it yet.
How much
Well,
was
I'm-
the last Venom film? Actually, that will give you an idea.
I think that was actually like 100. Actually,
Yeah.
yeah. It's something like that. Venom production budget.
But have there been any, delays or anything like that for the Kraven movie that could have influenced the
I
budget?
don't think so.
No,
and
there
yeah,
haven't.
Venom had $100 million budget. You know what's crazy too is something like The Flash costs $250 million, and these movies don't need to cost that much money because
No.
even the Spider-Man films, like Spider-Man No Way Home, only cost like $125 million.
Yeah.
And then the sequel cost the same. And then No Way Home didn't even cost $200 million. So I just don't understand why these budgets get so unbelievably inflated.
But for the Flash, I think it was because of the reshoots and all of that. So
Yeah,
that's
there
why
were
they
heavy
inflated-
reshoots. Yeah.
Mm.
But for the rest, yeah, I think the Disney right now with Marvel and all the stuff that they're doing, it's way too over budget. I mean, Ant-Man and the Wasp's like 200 million. Everything is minimum 200 million.
Yeah,
right
like
now.
why do you just give flat expense to these kind of movies? Like, why would you pay $200 million to make Ant-Man and also the same amount of money to a movie that's definitely going to make way more than that to a top tier character? I just
There's
don't
no
understand.
appeal. There's no appeal anymore, so they got to spend the money on marketing. Who gives a fuck about Ant-Man? Really? Like
Nobody. I've never
Yeah.
met anyone that's like Ant-Man's my favorite hero.
There you
Said
go.
Fucking nobody.
Even with that first movie, like, didn't give a shit about Ant-Man at all. It was like a fun popcorn flick, but it wasn't interesting. The character was not original. He didn't really add anything. It was clearly there just to shoehorn this one thing that they used in a movie 6 years later.
Yeah, it supplements the larger story that you're interested in. So as long as like Captain America and Iron Man are making banger movies that make $1 billion and everyone's enjoying them relatively, then you are more apt to go see a movie like Ant-Man because it's supplementary to the larger story. And you're like, yeah, I'll go see Ant-Man. Fuck it, why not?
It's just garnish.
Yeah, when no one's around that anyone gives a shit about, Ant-Man bombs and loses money.
So that's why you got to spend $250 million on Ant-Man 3 because no one gives a shit about Ant-Man. And you got to market some sort of incentive for them to go see that without any of your core Avengers characters. And it'll probably be the same thing with Flash. I got to spend extra money now on marketing because look at how positive all the news around Flash was just 3 weeks leading up to release. I think the only negative piece of information we got was the fact that Ezra Miller was only doing one promo appearance at the LA premiere because of the whole controversy surrounding him.
I saw someone suggesting, and I agree with this, that Keaton should have been running around doing press. He did none. But I also read too that because of strikes, they're actually unable to do that. I'm not sure if that's actually true. Yeah, I was like, I didn't know. I was like, that makes no fucking sense.
The writers aren't on the strike yet, right?
They're under the Film Actors Guild, so I don't understand.
Right, not the Screen Actors Guild. So no, they should have had Keaton running around.
I understood that reference.
They should have definitely had Keaton running around doing press, though. Like 100%. That's why most people want to go see the movie.
They should have kept Ezra in the background as far as possible. And did you guys see like one of the? It was the premiere actually. Where everybody was dressed in black and Ezra was dressed in all white just to make him look like this angelic figure. It was so ridiculous.
And he looked like a girl as well to top it off.
He looked like a non-binary Jesus. And I'm like, please just get him out of my face. You could have put
according to some of the stories about him, the cult that he was running out of an Icelandic Airbnb, he actually did cast himself as a non-binary Jesus. So it's probably just still playing the same role.
You know what I like is that you said all of that with the straightest of faces. Like if you go back and just pick every single bit apart, like Icelandic Airbnb cult. It just cracks me up. I'm sorry.
And don't forget Hawaii and how he terrorized that place harder than Stitch ever did.
No, I know.
He's going to these remote places and just terrorizing people. He's in the States, but he's doing it in Vermont where there's like fucking 2 people. And he captures the entire state of Vermont on some fucking like remote field or farm or whatever.
I think the only place he hasn't beat a woman yet is Antarctica, and he's headed down there right now.
I think they made a mistake putting Keaton in all of those promo trailers and everything. I think they should have just done. Yeah, I know why they did it, but I think they should, because think about just how he was introduced in the film. Like any shock value or excitement that would have left me with, like in the theater, was gone 2 minutes in because they had spoiled it all for me, right? So they should have just kept it at, give him that cool poster that he got when they were doing the character reveals, and then have him do all of the press.
We should have saw it coming that this movie was going to be shit, because look at the confidence level that Sony and Marvel had with Spider-Man No Way Home. They did not put them in the trailers at all. They fucking CGI'd them out. That's how confident they were in this movie. And then the Flash, the 70% of the trailer was about Keaton.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That should have told us right there.
Yeah, it was all nostalgia bait.
Yeah.
So that's why they should have kept him out of the trailers. They should have kept him out.
Wow. I just like had a fucking light bulb moment. I'm gonna look for that in the future when they do this shit again.
Well, I mean, isn't like the age of cameos and all of that stuff almost over? Because at this point,
hope so.
haven't we exhausted every single thing?
It
Yeah,
feels
what
like
else
it.
do I need to be reminded of already?
Right.
Yeah.
Unless you do a Back to the Future 2
Oh,
thing where you
no,
go back
no.
and do the same movie all over again, but then explain like why it's an alternate timeline. Which
The Eric Stoltz Back to the Future. There you go. Finally.
yeah, Eric Stoltz comes back.
No.
Yeah.
I wonder who played Doc.
No,
their
it was
version.
it was
Said
a,
I
was
said I
always
wondered
Doc.
who played Doc in their version of Back to the Future with Eric Stoltz and the Flash.
I would be more interested in that casting choice, to be honest.
Was
Yeah,
it
who-
always Christopher Lloyd?
it was always Christopher Lloyd. Yeah, so
always,
they
yeah.
shot like 2 weeks with Eric Stoltz and
Yeah.
Christopher Lloyd before they got rid of
Then
him.
they booted Eric Stoltz.
Yeah, man.
Gotcha.
They
gotcha.
actually took a multi-million-dollar film and said, "Get out. We're going to start over with somebody else." I couldn't imagine why. I guess things just weren't working out because I never heard Eric Stoltz being a pain in the ass or anything.
Mhm.
No, they said that he just didn't fit for the role. That they needed someone more energetic. So that's why they cast Michael J. Fox.
Yeah, they talk about it in his biography there in that movie, that biopic that Michael J. Fox did.
Gotcha.
Standing Still. Is that what it's called?
Bruh.
It's called Shaky Ground.
Cheeky crap.
Oh.
Any more words on Kraven? I guess.
I don't think
I'm looking forward to it. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah,
It's
I will
Kraven
go see
time.
this in the theater. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I'll
think
go
it'll
see
be
it
a
for
good
Aaron
pop.
Johnson.
If they
Yeah,
punch up
popcorn's
if they punch up the ridiculousness to what it looks like in the trailer, I'll go see it. I mean, he's throwing a spear through some guy hanging out the side of a helicopter, so why
He
not?
bit a dude's nose off in the trailer.
Yeah.
Like I'm
Yeah.
surprised they kept that in a trailer.
Yeah.
Bruh.
Well,
I
Some
just
people
saw
have
that
issue.
chat.
Some
Yeah.
people take issue.
yeah.
Well, you can't please anyone. We can move back on to a less contentious mockery. So Ezra Miller, yeah.
Yeah,
Who keeps clicking on all these comments? Stop it.
Is Brown still there in the
He's
background?
hiding in the background, but he is.
Well, that was a stream killer.
What else is on the docket today?
What else was on the docket? I don't know if anyone gave a shit about this. And it certainly seems like it's going to bomb. I got a sneak preview of the new Jennifer Lawrence movie, and I'm doing a review of it for the week.
Oh.
So,
Is it good?
it's not bad. It kind of, when you see the trailer, it kind of looks like it's going to be a raunchy teen comedy. But it's really not. It's more made for like women in their early 30s who realize that having sex all through your 20s with 1,000 people wasn't the smartest idea.
holy shit!
Yeah,
It's meta.
It is like relatively meta, and I looked up the credits and it made sense because it's from the writer of the film Bad Teacher with Cameron Diaz. Did you
Yeah.
guys
Oh.
do you guys
Yeah.
remember that movie?
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, I
Yep.
wish
I love that
had
movie.
that time back.
Yeah, that was not a bad movie at all. I remember. I haven't seen it in like 10 years.
I watched
it
it
made
again
sense.
for like the first time after it like came out in 2011. It still holds up like 10 plus years later.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it does.
So it's kind of like Jennifer Lawrence like reclaiming something. I don't know why. But it definitely feels that way. But I thought it was pretty interesting. It didn't necessarily have any commentary, but I keep using the word observe. It's like making observations about like what it was. It's like making commentary on modern day feminism. And Jennifer Lawrence is kind of like rah-rah about it because she's in the movie, and she certainly did not have to be. She's worth a lot of fucking money. Like, she said that she really enjoyed the script. And it also has like a lot of commentary on incel culture, and also just commentary on or observations on modern Gen Z culture. Because like there are scenes where it's even in the trailer. If you go watch the trailer, like she's looking for, well, let me establish the premise. So she lives in New York, and she's an Uber driver. And her mother had gifted her a house when she passed away. And she didn't pay her property taxes, so they're coming to reclaim it. And she's still living through her 20s, and she has daddy issues. So it's basically the plot of Happy Gilmore. She has to fucking like earn the money to pay off her taxes by X date. And she finds an ad from a rich family in the town that she lives in that wants someone to have sex with their son before he goes to college, so that to bring him out of his shell. And they'll give her a car because her car's been towed as part of like the property tax situation, so she can't Uber. And she agrees. And so it's this like 32-year-old woman trying to seduce a 19-year-old boy. So there's a huge problem if you switch genders. It's not really even touched on in the film how fucking weird that is. But I actually thought I didn't laugh for the first 30 minutes. And then I saw the movie by myself. So I'm sitting there like, I laughed out loud 4 or 5 times pretty intensely too. So it had its moments.
Yourself?
Totally by myself.
You went to see a movie. You went to go see a movie about a 30-year-old woman seducing a teenage boy by yourself as a man?
Yeah.
I had popcorn too.
Well, I'm definitely going to have a
job.
conversation with my parents and go, what the hell? Like,
It's
how
my
come I
job,
get to
and
as a kid?
it's my job, and it's coming out this coming weekend, and I got a sneak preview for it so I could get a review out before everybody else. So yeah,
Nice.
It's coming.
But yeah, I thought it was like actually I left the theater saying this movie's way better than it has any right to be. There were actual character moments that were really good. It had some script writing moments that were like, wow, you actually called back to something at the beginning of the film and really brought that to light. And it was like really brilliant character moments. And Jennifer Lawrence, all things considered, is a really good actress.
Yeah.
And for the men, there's no complaints about the fact that Jennifer Lawrence is just like full bare on naked for like a solid 45 seconds in the scene.
Okay.
Yeah, no complaints.
Is this pre-baby or post-baby?
I think
Jennifer
this is
Lawrence?
post-baby.
Okay.
Yeah, I think this is post-baby. But anyway, I actually am going to give this a mild endorsement. I'm interested to see what people think about it. So if anyone goes to see it this coming weekend, I'll probably bring it up on BSUP again next week and just kind of get people's thoughts on it. But
Nice.
It's called No Hard Feelings. I don't even think I gave the name of the movie away. Yeah, it's No Hard Feelings. It was
I'm really
not
glad you
that
liked it.
bad. Yeah, it was not that bad. For the first 30 minutes, I was like, I am gonna fucking hate this movie. I already see where it's going. It's like gonna be like pro hyper feminist bullshit where she's a horrible person, but we're just gonna keep mocking like all the men in this movie. But it really didn't go that way. It really didn't. Like, she is a bad person in the movie, and the movie doesn't let her forget it. And I was like, holy shit, I can't believe she signed on to this movie. But yeah, so those are my initial thoughts on that. Look for a review in the next couple days. But anyway,
I'm
really
really glad that you liked it, because it's a movie that I've been looking forward to for a while since they released the first trailer. Because I don't know, I feel like comedy is dead nowadays. The last good comedy movie I saw was I don't know, I think it was Game Night or Blockers. Or Cock Blockers. I don't know what the title is.
Cock blockers.
Yeah.
Why don't you describe this movie to us? Did you have popcorn?
John Cena. That was with
it's
John Cena.
John Cena, Leslie Mann, and this other dude. They're trying to stop their 3 girls from getting from having sex for the first time on prom night. So it's actually a really fun movie.
I do remember that one.
And yes, I watched it alone with popcorn too.
Yeah, and this maybe some of this shit will make it into my video. So I don't know. I think the moment where you guys brought up you watch this by yourself will totally go into the video. So, appreciate it.
I guess just before moving on to, because we probably should move on to super chats momentarily, but actually, Vexy put it in the private chat. I just sputtered it myself as well, which is the early reviews for Secret Invasion are now in.
Really?
And it's the worst rated Marvel show, I think it is, on all of Rotten Tomatoes at the moment,
Really?
which has been passed as strong early feedback from critics, whilst also being the worst early feedback that any show has had, apparently.
Oh,
which is
it is
slightly
at
surprising,
a
'cause-
rough 66% right now.
Yeah, which is
with
odd because like,
early
I don't know a
reviews.
huge amount about it, but I've seen is it the trailer? There's a trailer for this one out, and I remember thinking, or maybe I just read the premise for it. I remember thinking the premise was, or could potentially be, kind of interesting. Unlike something like She-Hulk, which you know off the bat is going to be a catastrophe. So yeah, maybe it is slightly surprising that this is seems to be tanking already before it's even launched.
Yeah.
It launches
Yeah.
next week officially, right?
The trailer came out and it looked absolutely on par with all the other Avengers films, and I heard somewhere like an advanced screening of it, they're like, oh, this is just like Winter Soldier, which of course, if it was coming from somebody who works at Disney, if they're sitting there saying that, they're just trying to get the fan base riled up. But
Mm-hmm.
from everything that I saw, I was like, wow, this might be the death rattle of Marvel, where we get one last good thing out of it before it all goes sinking.
Wasn't
But
it
that's
based? Oh, sorry, Copa. Go ahead.
No.
No, I was just gonna say, isn't it based on the 4 female characters? Like,
What 4 female characters?
Yeah, which
like
one?
Captain Marvel.
Oh, that's the Marvels, I think you're thinking
Yeah.
of.
Yeah,
You-
it's leading up to
okay.
that. This is supposed to be one of those
Oh,
things you have to
okay.
watch to understand the Marvels in November.
Even though they
Okay,
did say
sorry,
that you
I
wouldn't have
apologize.
to watch
I
the
didn't mean
Disney
to
Plus
cut-
shows to understand the films, but you know,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
out the window now.
And sorry to cut you off there.
No,
Yeah, and I'm just scrolling through some of these. And so apparently it's hard for the show to divorce itself from the issues of the larger universe it inhabits as one of them. I don't even know what that is supposed to mean. It's a missed opportunity. Yeah, it's not apparently Samuel L. Jackson's kind of good, but everyone else is tedious.
well, that sounds about right for Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah, I hope he gets at least one F-bomb.
MF bomb.
Yeah,
One,
Is this out next
one
week?
good motherfucker.
Yep, that's it.
Is this
Is
out
it out
next
next-
week? Yeah.
Yeah, it's out on June
Yep.
21st. So what? Wednesday it comes out.
Oh, geez. Okay.
Tomorrow.
Ugh.
Oh wait, no, tomorrow. I'm in France time, so it's already the 20th.
When tomorrow for you. There you go.
Yeah, no.
Wow, that is not good news to have 2 days before release. Youch.
I mean, I
Just-
didn't even know that this was coming out, to be honest. I forgot. I completely forgot.
I've seen a couple promos, on like sporting events, and then yesterday I happened to be at the gym, and on cable they were playing the Avengers stuff, like Avengers movies on cable TV,
Mhm.
and then
Mm.
it was all a promotion for Secret Invasion, and then they had like a big 6-minute like trailer, extended trailer for it as well. So that's the only promotion I've seen of it. But from what I've saw, I was like, this actually might be good. So I am a little shocked, especially with Samuel Jackson being the star of it.
I mean, critics have been wrong before. It's not impossible that they're wrong about this one, but then
Yeah, but-
again,
Marvel usually pays them off really well.
Yeah. That's where all the budget goes. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, don't say that.
oh well, watch this space, I guess.
Mm.
Yeah, unless there was anything else anybody in particular wanted to bring up, I suggest we move on to the super chats then.
I'm good.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Vex, are you going to be on the No Way Home stream?
I'm on MMM every Monday.
every
Yeah.
week.
So yes, it's like part of
Yeah.
it's your show. They're the co-host, right? So
Mhm.
Yeah.
yeah, Vex and I are going on another stream after this one. So woo.
Oh yeah, it's Monday already.
Yeah, long week. Let's see. Well, let's start with the first super chat. Mr. Luca for $1.99. Kraven trailer? Yes. Sorry, he sent that way earlier. So oh shit, he sent that like before the show started. Damn, sorry.
Oh,
we
that's
got to
okay.
it.
It means we accidentally answered his question at length.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got to it though, Mr. Luca. Let's see. Victor won for a I don't know $50. Seeing as Disney movies are bombing at the box office, why are they still preaching the message? From an economic perspective, this makes 0 sense.
Yeah, but the first lesson of any big business is to disregard the first lessons of economics. But I think it's just genuinely a case that this will take some time to filter in. Like, most of these people are still operating. Most of the people writing were hired in the era of silly money, when you could safely get away with like cramming any given message down, because you were guaranteed to make some money back either via investment or via the audience. Now, the audience is absolutely sick of it and the films aren't making any money, but the people who were hired at the time when they were making money are still there. Eventually, it goes away because these are all luxury belief systems, and luxury belief systems rely on times of luxury, and we're no longer in one of those.
I was also going to say, we're also getting the kind of like the overflow stuff that should have come out 2 years ago, but COVID delayed everything. So I think we would have seen this trend die out a lot. Maybe it would have already been in the process of dying out if it weren't for that standstill we had for a little while.
Thank you for the super chat, Dark Hour, for $2. Where's my blue wrench? I gave it to you when I saw this pop up. Started the super chat, but gave him his blue wrench as soon as I saw it.
Is $2 the going rate for wrenches on
I
this
guess
channel?
so.
You
Mr. Brown might
person.
make some money if he actually
He should
charged
start
$2
selling
for
his
blue wrenches.
wrenches.
Yum Yum Eat 'em Up for $5. Or yeah, Yum Yum Eat 'em Up for $5. Not sure how much into anime anyone on the panel is, but thoughts on the One Piece live action trailer? The casting doesn't look too bad with this one. Does anyone into anime?
Yeah,
Thoughts?
100%. So first of all, One Piece is my favorite manga and anime. Caught up with everything, and I don't know, the casting looks good, but there are moments where it looks like a fan-made thing. It looks like I'm watching a fan-made trailer. It doesn't look like something Netflix would do. Plus, I actually think that there could be something good with it, because the actual creator of One Piece, Ichiro Oda, he said that he's part of the process. He was part of the writing process. Well, he didn't write it, but they said that he revised a lot of the scripts. So I don't know if it will be good, because we had a couple of months back, there were first reviews or something like that came out for the test screenings, and they said that it was really bad. And now they said that they fixed a bunch of stuff, but I don't know. And plus, Netflix doesn't really have a good track record with the live action anime
Oh, you mean
adaptation.
Cowboy Bebop wasn't very good?
Death Note.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Death
also
Note.
Death Note.
Oh gosh.
God.
I think the only good one they made was, and I don't even know if Netflix made this one. I think the Japanese actually made it themselves. It was Rurouni Kenshin, so that one is actually pretty good.
The movie?
Yeah,
You're talking to the movie? Yeah, that
Yeah.
movie was really good. It's
really good.
Japanese. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was the Japanese, and I don't know if Netflix was really involved, because I see it on Netflix, but I don't know if it's a Netflix film. But yeah, I don't know. It just looks good, but it looks bad at the same time. I don't have my hopes up, because I think the One Piece is the most it's the manga or the anime that's the most cartoonish that you can have. So to translate that to live action is going to be extremely difficult.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody like me who likes anime, but I look at One Piece and I look at that episode count, and I'm like, not in my lifetime.
Yeah,
I'm
that's-
going to watch the show.
Yeah.
Only reason I didn't get into it either. I saw
Yeah.
that episode count.
Yeah.
I was like, I can't dedicate this much time.
Yeah, I don't have
exactly
No.
the same. Yeah, one of those
Yeah.
things
You
is
know how
worth
much
getting in
time-
at the beginning, and then it goes on for so long that you think I can't really do this anymore.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
You know how much
Actually,
time I spent watching
should read
Naruto?
it.
I was like, oh.
Yeah. Plus, Naruto is like 50% filler, so
Yeah.
that's horrible.
Yeah.
At least One Piece is only 10% filler. So I think right now they're at episode 1065. They're on chapter 1089. So honestly, read the manga. It's better.
Okay, 1,000 times average show length, episode length is 20.
that-
So 1,000 times 20, that's how many minutes?
No, I don't know.
Jesus.
It took me 3 months
That's how
watching
many.
it to catch
Yeah.
up.
Jesus.
It's just
God
like
damn.
it's like Berserk's manga. Like, it looks so cool and I really want to get into it, but I can't. I just don't have the time. It's 130 volumes now.
Yeah.
Commitment.
It's
There you go.
Yeah.
so dark. It's so dark
Yeah.
too.
I know.
It's
I really want to get
gritty.
into it. I love the show.
You can
And-
try and watch the movies for Berserk. I think they have a I don't know if it's the 90s. It's a 90s TV show or
Yeah. Yeah, that
yeah.
one's good.
So you can watch that. Honestly, it'll get you caught up for most of it.
Really?
Yeah.
okay.
Well, they touch on it a little bit, but there's a lot of really dark stuff that
Mm.
I think they made like almost a half dozen movies though outside of that anime, haven't they?
They made like a trilogy, recounting the most important parts of the manga.
yeah,
Gotcha.
And,
yeah.
Okay.
but they use that CG animation, which looks like crap.
Ugh.
Mm.
I know.
And-
Oh, sorry.
I was just gonna say because we're ending the stream, and I just wanted to sending up 5 more gifted subs, so
Nice.
just to get the ball rolling on the memberships. Sorry, go ahead, Copa. You were saying something.
Oh no, I was just making commentary on the new Berserk that came out. I think it's on HBO Max, or now it's called Max. It looks awful because it's that CG anime.
Yeah, and that's it. Just CG anime is a big no-no
Oh,
in
yeah.
general. So bad.
Yeah, have you seen the new Ghost in the Shells?
No.
With that oh yeah,
Mm-mm.
Netflix came out with a new Ghost in the Shell show. I think it's a show, and it's all CG anime.
No.
It is the
Oh.
worst thing ever.
I hate
yeah.
it. CG anime is just horrible. I mean, Netflix is also coming out with those CG. Well, it's not really anime. I was about to say they're bringing out a new CG Resident Evil cartoon.
Netflix is?
I think it's Netflix. Yeah, they have.
It can't
they
be
have
any
it.
worse than the live
Oh
action.
God, I
Yeah, I
forgot
was
they were
about to
doing
say.
that. Jesus.
Yeah, they're doing one. They're all on Netflix actually over here in France. Anyways, all of those Resident Evil CG movies, they're all here. They're just stupid fun, to be honest.
Well, and they have Avatar: The Last Airbender, that series they're working on now too.
Oh no!
And they just released the cast. Actually, the cast looks good. It
Okay.
looks
Yeah, some promo stills
Decent.
dropped, I think, yesterday.
yeah.
Wait,
Yeah.
so they really are doing the Last Airbender live action?
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
Again, well, Shyamalan did it. Shyamalan
Why-
did it.
See,
It
this is the
sucked.
problem because I know the creators are involved, and ever since they announced this like 3 or 4 years ago, I said what would be better for them is to go back to an older Avatar that they haven't touched on yet, or the next one. So for them to like redo the live action for Airbender, it already sounds tedious to me to watch.
I agree actually, because I think that the 3 seasons of television, television technically, it's good. Plus, we had the Shyamalan film, which was trash,
Right.
and I just think that we've heard this the story. We've had the story in like different ways, and everyone knows the story of Aang. Yeah, he was there when the world needed him most. He disappeared. He was gone. That's it.
Son of a
Right.
bitch.
Mm.
Sorry. Ethereal God of Rage for $2. Thanks, man. Maybe he came back since him and Reynolds are bros, referring to Hugh Jackman. I'm sure that played a huge role, but I'm sure money paid an even bigger one.
Yep.
Jonathan Frost for $10. Thanks. Emo Bruce Wayne was cringe. Negative opinion. I'm giving your money back. The Penguin was underwhelming as a character. He was a side character. The Batman wasn't that great. Sorry, but no thanks. Hey, all fair enough. That's fine. Everyone's entitled to their opinion.
You're not going to mute him now, are you?
He has to send
He's
me
banging
10
him
more
right now.
dollars. Yeah.
If you don't,
No.
I will.
No, thanks for the super chat, man. Sabrina said, I marked this because I thought it was interesting. Stuckman said he didn't mind Indy 5. Well, I have a theory. I respect Chris Stuckman, but the fact is the dude has said that he will only review movies that he likes. And this coincides with a movie that is gargantuan and has to be reviewed for his channel because it's content. So he's not going to say he hates this movie. There was no way Chris Stuckman, with what he has said, is going to say that he disliked Indy 5. It just wasn't going to happen because he has to review Indy 5. So,
Right.
yeah, that's my thoughts on that. Rebecca Gold, make a geek. Indy 5 will be rubbish.
I heard it in his voice too. That was great.
In the bin. Thanks, Mega. Love you, bro. Let's see. Fear the Hammers for $5. Thanks, man. I read a recent Deadpool was delayed is because Reynolds wasn't allowed to improv lines on set without the writers available. Do you have any thoughts? Yeah, I've heard that too. And I also read another Cope article saying that that's not a problem. I don't know what to believe.
Isn't this still going to be rated R anyways?
Yeah. I find it weird that like improv is an issue.
Yeah.
It's
Why?
so what a weird contractual thing.
Isn't Reynolds a writer on the movie himself?
Why the fuck does the writers need to be on set?
Now it's owned by Marvel. Maybe that's the problem.
Well, my thought is usually they'll have a writer sit there to rewrite stuff on the fly, and it's usually the director that tells them like, go rewrite this, and that's about it. They have no say on improv. If that's true, that's ridiculous.
Yeah,
And
that is crazy to me. But apparently,
unless
it's
it's
true.
unless it's Reynolds having a problem with Reynolds doing improv, which is weird multiverse stuff. He's like, you can't do that, and he's like, but I'm the star and you're me. Why can't he get over it? Anyways, I'm just making up this whole story in my head now.
Much like a writer on set.
Right.
Sparks 7907 for a California 220. Cynic, you shit. No membership because I dump on John Wick, huh? Yep. Even if you buy yourself one, I'll fucking refund it. You're right. Brian Mason for $10. Thanks, Brian. Robin Williams did a movie about suicide. A few years later, he actually committed suicide. I think that movie had a serious effect on him. Well, he also had a degenerative brain disorder that caused some serious issues, and I think he was always dealing with a form of depression, like a lot of artists do. Oh.
I think
it can be a cart and horse question. It can be that he goes to do a movie about suicide because he's already kind of depressed, as opposed to the film making him depressed. Although, it's not incorrect what was said earlier. You do get some actors, particularly the intense method acting ones, on whom there are psychological effects because you are trying to inhabit in the entirety of your psyche a completely different person to the one that you are. Combine that with money, sex, and drugs, and very little by way of oversight or apparently friends to tell you no, and you can easily see why people go on spirals, which can begin as something quite mundane like playing a part in a film.
Absolutely.
Like Linda Blair when she did The Exorcist, that screwed her up for life. Like it just
Shit. Jonathan Frost for $5. Which Flash is Sugar Tits Flash?
Copa, that's for you.
Hey there, honey. Come over here, honey.
Hey, sugar tits.
hey there, sugar tits.
Where's my bagel?
See?
Where's my bagel?
Oh, Lord, look at them titties.
Hey, look what's in the microwave. See?
Vex, I did invite on. So Vex DM'd me the other day and said, hey, you ever thought of inviting on Sugar Tits? And I was like, what the fuck is that? And it was a YouTuber, and I went and checked out her page. It's actually really good. So she does have an open invite if she's listening. We talked for just super briefly via DM. But if you're listening, you're welcome on the show anytime. And her name's Sugar Tits. All right.
Based Australian woman. There you go.
Absolutely fucking based. Yes. Mrs. Cannoli Sasquatch for $4.99. Thank you. Just wanted to say hello, and the Flash was disappointing. Have a good one, everyone. Yep.
Underwhelming.
Agreed. I will be on her husband's show with Vex in about 45 minutes too. Flaccid Phoenix for $4.99. Copa liked Supergirl because she just looked like another Ezra Miller and nothing like the original character.
Dude, if Flaccid's still here, she could speed groom me anytime she wants to.
Shit. Opinionated Junkie for $2. Snyder has to make one-day film to make sense.
No, he doesn't, because he just has legions of moronic fans who insist that it all makes sense, whatever.
Yeah.
It's true. I don't get it. It feels like it's like that person who's been lied to so much in a relationship that they just start going, I know they're lying to me, but they mean well. And I'm just going to make meaning out of these lies instead of taking a slight. I just don't get why Snyder gets a pass from all these people. Like, they just make it up on the fly. It's
not
all
a lie.
circular.
You know
it's
what's
all
really
circular
funny
reasoning.
is when like one of his fans will come up with some crazy ass theory, and then like it during an interview 3 weeks later, he'll be like, "Oh yeah, that's totally what I meant to do." He just takes-
Just goes with it. Yep.
That's
Yep.
exactly
he just
it.
rolls with it. He's like, "Yeah, that's right, that's right."
It's not a
The
lie
only-
if you believe it.
Yeah, but the only other director that doesn't really have a that is on the same level as Snyder. Would you say it's Christopher Nolan, where people think that he can do no wrong sometimes?
I think that people are pretty fair with Nolan nowadays, but he does have a lot of goodwill. But I think that's for a good reason. I think he
Yeah, the difference between Nolan's the goodwill that is often given to Nolan and the sheer sort of fanatic cult that Snyder has around him. That's not explicable, I don't think, just by goodwill. There is something more to that. My sort of pet psychological theory is that most Snyder fanboys are basically frustrated, like frat guys or gym bros who they're in an online nerd space where words matter more than your biceps do. I'm just raising that as a completely disconnected thing from anything that may have happened on Twitter recently. And Snyder gives them the impression that no, that they have an intellectual stake in film as well. They are not just useless people online. And here is the proof. And it's kind of an identity-based thing. So you attack Snyder and they're attacked personally because Snyder is their ticket into online nerddom.
I just thought they were just all like legally retarded. That's really
people
Like
who like Snyder films are the same people who like in my high school like bands like Disturbed and Shinedown and thought that shit was like super deep. I'm staring down the barrel of a 45.
Snyder
British
fans
people
are the
wouldn't get
same
that, but-
the same like class of like women that kind of like yell at everyone when you say that you don't want to like coat hanger babies. It's the same group of people.
Oh my! Vex is on fire.
God, yeah, dude, Snyder's probably that type of guy that has like a barbed wire sleeve for sure. Nerdy Film Girl for $4.99. A friend of the channel. We love Nerdy Film Girl. Mr. Brown and Platoon. Have either of you seen Banshees of Inisherin? A favorite of last year. Think you would both love the screenplay. Cheers.
I keep meaning to, and I still haven't got around to it, but I've heard good things. So eventually, one day before I die, maybe.
Fantastic film.
Hostman bought a membership. Thanks, Hostman. Hostman also sent in $5. Thanks again. Been soiling my pants, kind of how Emo Bat soils its pants as a film. Playing Silent Hill 2. Any y'all ever played it? If so, what did you think?
Sadly,
Any
no.
Silent Hill fans?
No,
No,
never
really?
Yeah.
Yes.
I've never had a
Someone on there
console.
would be. Vex?
The remaster's coming out pretty soon, actually. I think it's end of this year. I might be mistaken, but yeah, it looks fucking good. Silent Hill 2 was chef's kiss. I'm waiting till the year is up so I can play that on PC or Xbox, though. That's all.
I never played Silent Hill 2, but I am dripping in my socks anyways, if that helps.
Sorry. That one hit me hard. Jonathan Frost for another $5. Thanks, man. I would have preferred a Ted Cord Blue Beetle with some JSA goodness.
What's JSA?
Justice Society of America. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
Fuck, that was a really funny. I'm glad I found that one. Thanks, Jonathan Frost. Johan Gamble Putty of Ulm for 50 unknowns. Hot take.
Polish money.
Polish 50. Hot
Isn't
take.
it platoons?
50 platoons.
I have my own currency now.
Yeah.
It's a guaranteed peg against inflation, so this is the time you should be investing in me.
It's on par with Doge. Don't worry. Hot take: if Flash would have had released a year ago, i.e., before Marvel's mediocrity wrecked the whole spandex genre, and still hot on Spider-Man: No Way Home's success, it would have scored a Billy easy. Probably because that would have also been before his Ezra Miller's shit. This is part 1 of 3. Okay,
Yeah.
let's pull up the next for 25 more Polish books. We just had another big pop culture premiere, also coming on the back of several flops from a studio marred by controversies and with some super disgusting names attached to it. And yet Diablo 4 already made zillions bucks with people pre-ordering like lemmings. Thoughts? Vex?
Gaming controversies are not the same as movie controversies. That's all I'm gonna say. They're I'm not to say that one is like less bad than the other. It's just the audiences are completely detached when it comes to gaming. That's really all it is. Much like how there's a lot of people that just will go see Marvel because it's Marvel. There's a lot of people that will just play Diablo because it's Diablo. They can separate the fact that Blizzard has been tied to controversy after controversy. So also Diablo 4 is fucking riddled with microtransactions, some of them worth $25 for a fucking skin. So it's pretty easy to make $1 billion just that way.
There's an interesting difference there, which is that game studios can have any number of internal controversies, but most of the time gamers don't give a shit. It's when the controversy involves the games company shitting on the fans that they take a huge hit. So when Activision comes out, for example, and slags off Call of Duty players, basically, or is seen to be defending the malappropriation of children, then you get a much bigger backlash than just a simple allegation, for example, of a hostile workplace environment for women, which is something that's dogged that company for quite some time. So the difference is, I think most film controversies are much more fan-facing. Most of this does, because it is preaching messages to the audience. The audience has a much greater opportunity to take offense and to show their offense at this kind of thing. And if game studios start coming out and basically saying that fans are bad, up feminism, and all the rest of that, then you'll probably find that the same mechanics in play. So in a way, there is a consistency there. It's just a different type of scandal.
I thought this Drew Gordon, who's a regular of the channel, pointed this out. I hate to point this out, but Zack Snyder's Justice League did make a whole load of normies who probably haven't even seen Army of the Dead Snyder fans who know him from 300, not much else. Numbers don't back that up. It just doesn't. Only 36% of people who actually watched the Snyder Cut even fucking finished it, and it wasn't even a huge hit for them at all. So it was really like clearly. We all know the Snyder fans are hyper obsessed. It's literally a fucking cult. The person that we were doing I was on the Man of Steel stream, and at the end, the person that was defending the movie admitted that it was a cult-like status. It was almost like it was like the Intrusive Thoughts one. Like he wasn't supposed to say that part, and he did. But
it's one of those evil cults that they're brainwashed, and you can't break the circuit.
No.
Because they're fucking retarded. That's why.
But
it's
no,
one
it's
of those
like
things where it's like all you have to do is admit that it's objectively bad, but you like it anyway, and you just can't. You have to be like, no, actually, it's a fucking genius film, and you're an idiot for not understanding it.
Well, it's because all of us are elitists from community college. We went to community college. We went to
I'm a college dropout. I'm an elitist piece of shit.
Yeah.
Hostman.
It's a special little thing, but all cults have those self-reinforcing things that you have to break through patterns of argumentation, which are just there to deflect from the fact that there's actually no truth underlying it. So it's very difficult to get people to rationally repudiate a belief they never rationally formed to begin with. But there's a difference in that I think everyone here, when asked earlier, said, yeah, it would have been better if Zack Snyder had had the chance to finish his vision for DC. It still would have been shit, but it would have been probably better shit than the shit we got. And this is coming, we're shitting on Zack Snyder all of the time, but we're still prepared to say that actually maybe it would have been better to have his brand of crap than somebody else's.
Right. Yep. Hostman for $5. Couldn't we get both objectification and good character writing? Oh, this is referring to Supergirl being attractive. Not that I mind portrayals of damsels in distress. It's fiction. I mean, yeah, absolutely.
I don't care about
sexy girl with good character writing is a pretty it's good. I'm all for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Does she have to talk?
She wasn't bad when she did speak.
No.
So yeah, let her talk. Absolutely, let her talk.
Yeah, she was pretty quiet, to be fair, for most of that movie. So that's probably also why her performance wasn't bad.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting that they hired someone that was mostly from soap operas. So
is that where she's from? I didn't even look.
Yeah, I think she spent like her IMDb said she spent like 4 years on like The Young and the Restless or something.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Not bad.
So my mom is probably a huge fan. Jalen ET for $2. Just want to pour 2 out for my boy Uninspired.
Yay, thank you, Jalen.
Thanks, man. Hostman again, the deep pockets of Hostman Socrates. For $5 more. Walt Disney would hate the state of his company right now. He was based. Don't let all the false stories about him being anti-Semitic fool you. Source, trust me, bro.
He was based though. I think he was ratting out commies back in the 50s when they were
really?
doing. Yeah, I think he was naming names, and gave no qualms about it either. Oh yeah, he was very much based, and so was Roy Disney too, from what I understand. But Roy Disney passed away, and now you're seeing all this like really play out.
Oh,
Like,
the irony.
Yeah.
His company's based on a mouse and he's being a rat.
Thanks, Hostman, for the 5. I appreciate you, man. Drew with a follow-up. Zack Snyder is among normies about as renowned as James Gunn is because of his Justice League. That's my point.
He said early in our comments, just like the Zack Snyder just helped make him more of a household name and gave people something to hook on to if they're like into movies or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I can see what you're saying. Opinionated junkie for $2 more. Why does Jeff Johns avoid blame on DCEU? That's a really good question.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a
I totally
really
agree.
good question.
Is that like the Kevin Feige of DC?
So
No.
Jeff Johns is a really well-renowned comic book writer. He's written some he wrote Flashpoint, did he not?
I believe so.
He wrote a ton of Green Lantern, Superman, I believe. So he's like well-renowned in the DC world as a brilliant writer. So they brought him on to help with the launch of the DCEU after Man of Steel was released. And yeah, he gets like no blame for any of the shit, which is pretty interesting.
I think
he
it's
credited?
because- I think
Yes.
it's
If you go
because-
and look at the credits of the Snyder movies post Man of Steel,
All the way back to Green
Really?
Lantern with
yeah,
Ryan
I
Reynolds.
think it's just
Oh,
because
wow.
Snyder had so many movies under his belt is the reason why everybody was just looking at Snyder and going, well, this is a Snyder movie and that's a Snyder movie.
Mhm.
But yeah, he definitely deserves a lot of credit for the DC, the status of DC.
Yeah, and that just shows you can't like shit doesn't translate. Like
No,
just
you're
because
right.
you wrote great comic books doesn't mean you're going to write great movies.
Exactly. And just because it's in the source material doesn't mean it's going to look well on the big screen.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, that's why I was saying like whenever I hear, well, it's comic accurate, I'm like, so
So what?
who gives a shit? Like, and sometimes that works, and most of the time it doesn't. You have to adjust for the medium that you're adapting something to. You can't have it be 1-to-1. Otherwise, I'd rather just go read the comic book then.
Yeah, because he's not just the writer; he's actually he's writer and he is the what's his position there? He's
a
oversees
producer,
everything.
right?
Yeah. He oversees a lot of it too.
Yeah.
So
we got 2 more. Hostman again for $2 more. The very deep pockets. Hostman. I swear Snyder fans are worse than TLJ fans.
They're
Are-
more
are there
persistent,
really
but that's
TLJ
'cause- Well, that's the thing. I think that's the difference. Snyder fans are true believers, and TLJ
Yeah.
fans aren't. And I think that's what makes Snyder fans seem A, louder, and B, more stubborn and persistent, like sort of cockroaches of the internet.
And the last one from Opinionated Junkie again for $2 more. Nolan fans sent death threats to critics.
Oh, wow.
For what
Jesus.
movies?
Yeah, for what movies?
I'm guessing Tenet.
If anyone knows, let us know, because you don't need to send in a super chat or anything. Shit, that's crazy.
Don't send it in a death threat either.
Yeah, and don't send a death threat, please.
You can death threat me if you want to.
It's the internet. Who hasn't had a couple of death threats?
Oh,
every now and
Bagface
then?
answered.
Yeah.
Oh, God. That wraps up the super chats. So thanks for everyone who sent some in. Yeah, use the channel membership icons and shit that I made, everyone that I sent out memberships to. And thanks everybody for coming on.
I need to actually sort those out. I did add some random ones, but I don't. There's Luke drinking the green tit milk. I think I've got that one. I don't even remember what the other things I've got are. So
Yeah, you'll
I
have to
need
go
sort something
look. Yeah. Well, because they're you made your own, right? Or have your own? No.
out. No, I just nicked them from the internet.
Oh, I made mine. Meh.
Yeah, I should really do that, but I can't draw.
But this is the section where we plug what everyone's doing. So Vex, would you like to go first?
I'm on a Mischief Mayhem movie stream every Mondays at 9 p.m. Eastern. Copa's usually there as well, but now he is a Papa Copa, so it's hit or miss some days.
Papa Catania.
I'm just gonna call you Papa Catania from now on stream. Other than that, my Flash review went live on my second channel this morning, so if you'd like, you can go check that out. The next movie review I'll be doing will probably just be Indiana Jones 5, and I have plans to release that on July 2nd. But other than that, thank you for having me on again. Jay, it's good to be on a stream with you finally, and same with you, Uninspired Reviewer.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of yours, so
Thank you.
glad to share space with you finally.
Uninspired, want to let us know where to find you and what you're up to?
Yeah, you guys can find me on my channel, The Uninspired Reviewer, because I'm always uninspired, but secretly inspired. And
Key.
yeah, I just dropped my Across the Spider-Verse video. I think it was yesterday, so you guys can check that out. My next video will be on The Flash. Hopefully, I get it out by this weekend, because on Monday, I am going to be with Vex, and I don't know if Copa is going to be there. So on MMM, and we're going to be talking Indiana Jones. I think it is The Last
I'll be there.
Crusade.
Yeah, Last
Yep.
Crusade.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'll definitely
there
be
we
there.
go.
For sure.
Cool.
And yeah, thank you guys for having me, honestly. And sorry I came late. I got the message. I saw the message late. That's why.
Oh, it's all good. This is all due to us. I was telling I DM'd Vex earlier and I was like, "Are you on today?" She's like, "I can be." I was like, "I have no idea what the fuck's going on."
I can be your secretary too if you want. That's how I book all of Cannoli's guests.
I mean, if you want to, I'll pay you.
Does this mean you'll become like the Kathleen Kennedy though and take over the stream
Yeah.
and then destroy it?
Just without the turkey neck, yes.
Just without the turkey neck.
And yes, the timescales agreed. Atlas of Sidonia rocks. We'll get to that though, because we will ask Jay what he's up to in a minute. Copa, thanks for coming on. Tell us where to find you and what you are up to.
Yeah, you can find me here at Copa Catania. And I just dropped my John Wick 4 review. What was it? 2 days ago. And that was really fun. That movie was a bit of a mess, but got through it. And then next week, I'm going to do Extraction 2 as a review.
Ooh.
Yeah. Wow.
I need to watch that.
Dude, I'm I hate to call it yet, but I'm pretty sure it's the best action movie this year. And maybe one of the best action movies of all time.
Damn.
Wow.
All right. I'm totally watching this movie.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
Wow.
God damn.
Okay.
So not to spoil anything, but there's a scene in a prison and it's all oneers. Cleverly cut, but if you're not paying attention or don't know where they would cut, it all looks like one continuous shot. And I would say it goes down for about 20 minutes.
God damn.
Yeah, dude.
All right, I gotta check this out.
Oh, check it out. And then usually when I see a oneer in an action film, I'm like, man, they're just trying to be artistic and artsy fartsy about this, but it's just some of these elements are not working. Like it got clunky at some points. No, this is all nice and smooth transitions into fight sequences, to trying to get out of the building, trying to get out of danger, into more fight sequences. It's just nice, smooth transitions for like 20 minutes. Fantastic stuff. Yeah, I don't want to say it's one of the best action movies quite yet, because I would like to revisit it a couple more times, but man, really love this film. One of the best this year. Yeah,
That's
and
big praise from you, by the way, because you're the action movie go-to guy. So.
I know. And like I thought Sisu would probably be the best this year so far, but
I still need to catch that.
Yes, that was good too. You know, you just have to check your brain at the door, and as soon as you do that, like you like a lot of the stuff that doesn't make sense at all, since you checked your brain at the door, it doesn't matter. The action sequences are there and you're having a good time. It's like Commando, but you know, he's a retiree. So Yeah, so I got that coming up next week, and then I'll be on co-hosting Wednesday. What's good? I think we have a screenwriter on that week, but come check us out. That's on Zax's channel, ZAXX. So come check me out there.
I'll put everything in the description of this. I'm gonna unlist it, but if anyone wants to come back or is going to come back, everyone's links will be in the description, and then on the re-up, all the links will be in that description, which will be on my second channel. But it'll also be on the playlist right on the homepage of my main channel. So
Cool.
I'll put all that stuff up there. And question for you: do you need to see Extraction 1?
No, not necessarily. Like, yeah, in order to get like some relationships, in order, like he has a couple people that help him out. But as soon as you get over the fact that they already have like a past and stuff like that, you're good to go.
Okay.
So it doesn't call back to anything really from part 1.
All right.
And
Cool.
for those who've seen part 1, it's nothing like part 1. Like part 1 had its moments, but it was kind of boring. No, this one is from the jump. Like it's a slow burn for about 20 minutes, and then right after that, it's excellent. Excellent
Shit.
action sequences.
I'm excited to check it out now. Damn. And Jay, let us know. We had Jay on last week, but please tell us all about the book again. Let everyone know,
okay.
and the links will be in the description. Yeah.
Atlas of Sidonia is a dark, we call it shadow fantasy. It's a graphic novel, but it's going to have a heavy manga infusion in it. I've blended this Western and Eastern comic book art style to create my own kind of style. Getting a lot of praise and positive comments, which is good as an artist because you want to hear that. But I'm sure I'm going to hear some jerk say something negative about it at some point. But
It comes with the territory.
Yeah, it comes with the territory. But Atlas of Sidonia is based on 3 characters. You got the August King, who's protecting Cloud Peak from the evil necromancer Kadim, who's serving the god of Lagotha, which is a god, is a dark evil god. And then we have Masato Kana, who is the general and protector for the August King. And it kind of focuses on that storyline. This is kind of a prologue into the main open world concept of Atlas of Sidonia. So it's a really, really great story John has written. The artwork is... it is what it is. I hope everyone likes it. It's a very dark fantasy, and it's thrilling, and there's tons of action. There's tons of edge of your seat cliffhangers, and I'm really excited to get this out there. Also, we have Desolate Souls Studios. I want to say a quick shout out to Vex and Copa and Uninspired Reviewer. Thank you. Nice to meet you guys. It was great. We're having Vex on, I think, in the first week of July, I believe, right?
Yes, first week of July. Yeah.
So we like to have creators come on, and anyone who wants to come on and talk about their channels, talk about movie reviews. We just had Movie Cynic on last Wednesday. Again, thank you for coming on there, Movie Cynic. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And so go check us out on Wednesday nights on Desolate Souls Studios, and that would be it.
Yeah, his campaign will be in the description. I just need to update that. But there's a campaign on Indiegogo for Atlas of Sidonia. I think Platoon and I both have we've already signed up, so we can get our copies. And I will also put on my community board the interview I did with you the other day too.
Okay,
for Desolate Souls Studios. But yeah, thanks for coming on, everybody. I think that wraps it up for this week. So. Anything else before we go? Okay,
Nope.
Good. Mic drop. Little Platoon, I know you're my co-host. What are you doing?
Oh, well, straight as soon as this ends, I have to go and record the Flash script. It's a cool 30,000 words, so that'll take a while. Hopefully that will be out middle-ish, so the end of this week. Then, if I have time, I'll dip into Secret Invasion and see what that's all about. And then, depending on if that's good or not or worth commenting on, might be a video on that. Otherwise, the next big one after the Flash will be Indy 5.
Yeah. Oh, and for what I'm doing, so I'm dropping a review for No Hard Feelings. So you can hear my expanded thoughts on that. It looks like Secret Invasion is going to deserve a review too. I need to circle back to Across the Spider-Verse. I also have a major video essay on the fall of Disney coming out and a review of Indy 5. And this is all in the next couple of weeks. I'm a busy boy. So this is all going down. It's almost like it's my full-time job.
To go and watch naked Jennifer Lawrence on your own.
It was my job, bro.
And eat popcorn.
Yeah, and eat plenty of popcorn. But yeah, thanks everyone for coming on, and thank you, chat. We love you. Thank you for everyone who sent in super chats. And we will see you next week. Bye.
Bye.